the girl discovered she had a terminal illness with only 3 months left to live. So she directly kissed the coldest duke in the entire empire and constantly flirted with her shamelessly. She tried every way to show her love and even talked about having children together. But after 3 months, the doctor told her it was a misdiagnosis. Not only would she not die, but she would live longer than anyone. Upon learning this, he couldn't wait to die right now. Because of Ellie's recklessness, she provoked the most terrifying man in the empire, Duke Candel. She originally wanted to indulge herself before dying. But now your quack doctor tells me I'm not sick. It turns out 3 months ago, Ellie felt unwell. After the doctor's examination, she learned she had a disease called Rockadura, with a fatality rate of 98%. She only had 3 months left to live. Hearing this bad news, Ellie's mind went blank. But she couldn't just wait for death. At least she wanted to do everything she wanted before dying. So she started with her maid. Annie, what's your wish? I want to taste all kinds of cakes. This wish was simple for Ellie, born into nobility. But before that, she had to have dinner with her family. This was also what she least wanted to do. Parents who always wanted to sell her off for status. And a brother loved by the whole family, but always troubled her. Why are you here? Why not? I'm also a family member. At this moment, her brother Ron's wine glass tilted. Watching the wine drip onto her head, Ellie was in disbelief. What was even more unacceptable was her parents' favoritism. Why did you provoke your brother for no reason? Ellie thought for a moment. She decided not to tell them about her impending death in 3 months. Back in her room, she made a wish list. Buy cakes for Annie, save money independently to end the engagement with Marquis Sieg, then find a handsome guy to date. The next day, Ellie took Annie to buy cakes. It seemed the first wish would soon be fulfilled. But then the carriage shook violently. The wheel had fallen into a hole. Ellie poked her head out and saw a black carriage approaching from the opposite direction. The maid quickly pulled her head back in fear, because inside sat the most terrifying monster duke in the entire empire. At that moment, Ellie's carriage regained balance. When she looked out the window again, she saw the man had lifted her carriage out of the hole with his bare hands. As expected of the monster duke, even his coachman was so impressive. When Ellie returned home, she looked gloomy, because Marquis Sieg, her fiancé, had arrived. Why are you always going out? When we're married, I won't let you leave the bed for a step. Ellie remembered the third item on her wish list. In the engagement with Marquis Sieg, try to be as polite as possible. And that coy look of yours, it has extremely high commercial value. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared above Marquis Sieg's head. Ellie decided to be as polite as possible today, to get rid of this disgusting old man. Ellie had always been highly gifted in magic since childhood, but her family's favoritism denied her the chance for education. Her teacher felt it was a pity, so he would teach her a bit from time to time. Dealing with this old guy was more than enough for Ellie. I'll only say this once, so listen carefully. I don't want to marry you at all. Our engagement is hereby void. You trash who measures people by money. At that moment, her parents' voices were heard. This transaction ends here. The next second, Ellie received a resounding slap. Do you know what you just did? You'll put our family in debt forever. Why should I repay it? Selling me to Sieg for wealth and glory. And in the end, all I get is a slap. Then her parents launched attacks on her basic needs. Yes, I do all the big and small tasks managed by mother. Even paid servants don't do as much as I do. You dare to talk back. It's our fault for spoiling you all these years. From now on, I'll remove you from the family register. Well, thank heavens for that. After saying this, Ellie bowed and turned to leave. But then Ron stopped her. Who do you think you are? Ruining the family's good mood. He then used the amateur skills he learned in class. You can't even do the most basic elemental magic. You should be more humble and less arrogant. Watching the incoming magic, Ellie lit up a magic circle in front of her. Ron's magic was instantly dispersed. Even if I can't do those spells, I'm still 10,000 times stronger than you. After all the trouble, Ellie finally left that home. Now she had 2 items left on her wish list. Since I won't live past 3 months, she wanted to find someone who could quickly start a relationship with her, a love expert. But before that, she needed a lot of money. So she first applied for a job as an evolution magician. The so-called evolution magician is less efficient than healing magic, consumes a lot of spiritual power, and can't heal oneself. But finding a job shouldn't be a problem. I'm sorry, I don't need this. Now, even healing magicians are everywhere. What's this purification magician anyway? Just as Ellie was at a loss, her bag was snatched by some thugs. It contained all her belongings. Ellie wanted to use magic to stop them. However, she not only missed but also exhausted her energy. Just then, the thugs stopped in their tracks, because in front of them appeared a man with the smell of rotting corpses. This oppressive aura, unique in the entire empire. Before the thugs could react, the man drew his sword. After a clean and swift swing, the two in front instantly became half their height. Ellie then realized that this coachman she met earlier was actually from the most powerful ducal family in the empire. Candel, known as the Ghost of War, had single-handedly turned the tide of a losing battle. What Ellie cared more about was another aspect. He was also a very handsome man. Although the rotting smell on him was a bit repulsive, in the face of beauty, everything could be overlooked. Being so handsome, he must have had many relationships. He's surely an expert in love. Seeing Ellie trembling all over, Candel felt a bit disappointed. It seemed that because of the curse, no matter who he saved, they would still fear him. But just then, Ellie tugged at the hem of his clothes. "Excuse me, do you have a girlfriend? I think you're very handsome. I also want to ask, can you date me for 3 months?" Seeing the situation become a bit awkward, Ellie introduced herself. "I'm Ellie. What's your name?" "Although I know your name, out of politeness, I'm still asking." "I am Candel." "Oh my, your voice is so nice too. It's a very charming baritone. Nice to meet you." Candel had never met such a socially bold girl before. "Do you want to date me? Just for 3 months." At this point, Candel turned his head and explained, "You saw how I cut them down just now. Aren't you afraid of me? Let's end your joke here." With that, he turned to leave, but he couldn't help glancing back. Seeing Ellie still unmoved, Candel felt a bit disappointed. He wasn't sincere after all. However, he didn't see her face. This man is too handsome, not only with a strong presence but also so manly. But as excellent as he is, there's one thing he can't have. That is me. Just wait, I'll definitely make you have me. As Ellie was thinking about how to meet him again, she overheard people discussing Candel. It seems the rumors are true. He's looking for an evolution magician. I heard the Duke has a curse on him. Whenever people get close, they smell the scent of death. But this curse is severe. Previous evolution magicians were all scared away. And this is where evolution magic differs from healing magic. It can remove curses, but because so few people can be cursed, evolution magic is so unpopular. As the saying goes, no pain, no gain. Isn't this the perfect opportunity to get close to Candel? After a long week, Ellie finally saw the much-anticipated Candel. That day I acted unexpectedly. I must have scared you. So, shall we start with an employer-employee relationship? Candel didn't expect this woman to be so bold, still daring to approach him. "Let me reintroduce myself. I'm the best purification magician in history." Of course, this was self-proclaimed. "Let me help you purify the curse. The payment is room and board." Ellie took out a contract. "Sign here. Can you take responsibility for what you just said? If you're making a boring joke, be careful not to see tomorrow's sun." Although facing Candel made Ellie a bit nervous, she thought she was about to die anyway. She then grabbed Candel's hand. Under his surprised gaze, Ellie began to cast her evolution magic. Black mist and golden light intertwined. To Ellie's surprise, his curse made her feel an unprecedented failure. But gradually, Candel's black mist began to dissipate. Panting, Ellie asked him to check. However, Candel had long since given up hope. From childhood, this curse had always accompanied him. He knew the power of this curse best, until the moment the bandage completely fell off. He was the ever-victorious general for the Empire's years of warfare. But because of the curse placed on him since childhood, what should have been a glorious and honorable return turned him into a monster everyone avoided. This torment made him shut himself off. He was conflicted, constantly craving the warmth brought by others. God seemed to have heard his prayer. He brought a girl to his side. He spent the first half of his life looking for a way to break the curse, yet she easily purified it in just a few minutes. However, God's gift was far from over. Just as his long-frozen heart began to crack, he was met with Ellie's passionate confession. Ellie wanted to have a 3-month relationship with him, not a day more. Candel looked at his intact left hand in silence. Her heartbeat echoed throughout the room. This girl, radiating a dazzling light and looking slightly tired, became the only antidote to save her at that moment. Ellie, having overused her magic, stumbled into his arms. In that brief instant, Candell made a decision. Before the curse completely disappeared, he absolutely couldn't let her leave. At that moment, the contract also took effect. When Ellie groggily opened her eyes again, she found herself lying on a huge 500-meter bed. "This is Duke Candell's mansion. If you find it unsuitable, I'll immediately arrange another place for you. Also, here's the contract. 2 copies." Candell handed her a contract, but Ellie's gaze never left his face. "So, does this mean you agree?" Candell showed some physical resistance. Ellie had to start by touching his hand. She grabbed his hand and shook it excitedly. "I'll definitely treat you well." Candell emphasized that it was just an employment relationship, but Ellie chose selective deafness. "What's with you? Call me by my name." "Come on, say Ellie." This casual action overloaded Candell's brain. "Since you're fine, I'll take my leave." Ellie felt a bit disappointed. Someone like him with rich dating experience clearly didn't like her type. But preferences can change, right? Ellie's smile made Candell shudder. I think you should lie down and rest now." "Oh my, he's so gentle." Candell's flustered appearance was vastly different from his rumored decisiveness. After Candell left, Ellie flopped onto the bed. "Being this handsome is really unfair. I hope we can have children and pass on his beauty to future generations." Little did she know, Candell heard every word clearly. What on earth is she rambling about? How can there be such a strange person? The next day, the Duke was leisurely enjoying his tea, but he was a bit perplexed. The girl in front of him had been staring at him all morning. "Do you have something to say? Why do you keep looking at me? Why aren't you eating with me? I was waiting for you this morning. I thought we'd have breakfast together. You actually want to eat with me? Seems your appetite is good." Hearing this, Ellie was a bit confused. "How much do you know about my curse?" Ellie pulled up a chair and sat down, listening carefully. "It's a curse from the deceased, set by the caster on their deathbed, and it can't be lifted by eliminating the caster. This curse has been with me since childhood." After saying this, Candell unwrapped the bandage on his other hand. The rotting right hand showed no signs of life. "This magical bandage blocks most of the odor, but it can't stop the gradual decay of my entire body." Seeing this, Ellie finally understood the suffering he had endured for so many years. Candell thought Ellie would be terrified and want to run away, but it didn't matter to him, because he would bring Ellie back to his side. As long as he could break the curse, Candell would do anything. But what he never expected was... Ellie grasped his rotting hand. "Candell, I promise. I will definitely break your curse." Candell had anticipated all scenarios, except for her saying this. This made him even more conflicted. Why wasn't she afraid of him? Others would be shocked at the sight of his decaying skin, but she treated him like a normal person. This made his earlier selfishness and greed unforgivable. Ellie's breathing became rapid as she used magic. The next moment, Candell grabbed her. "You haven't fully recovered. Don't push yourself." But Ellie's surprisingly thin wrist shocked Candell. Coming to his senses, he realized his impropriety. Ellie, of course, was also self-aware. She just wanted to temporarily check the progress. Candell's left hand had been healed, but some evolutionary magic would remain. It could continue evolving inside his body, though at a slower pace. "It's fine as long as it can be cured. Don't worry, before I die, I'll definitely be responsible for curing you." "What does that mean?" "It means I'll cure you as soon as possible. Don't worry, everything will be all right." Candell then voiced his doubt. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Ellie found this question rather amusing. "Why should I be afraid? That nickname of yours, War's Track, is complete nonsense. The war was almost lost, but you turned the tide and achieved victory. Yet they give such a nickname to a national hero. You should be called the Empire's first swordmaster. That's real praise. People's attitude towards your curse leaves me speechless. The truly scary ones are those who cursed you. Yet everyone fears the cursed one who brought peace. It's utterly stupid." Every word from Ellie tugged at Candell's heartstrings. "Candell, remember this. I'm not afraid of you. I'm just a bit afraid you won't date me. Please, please let go of me," Candell said, shyly turning his head away. Ellie hadn't expected his face to be so soft. As Candell stood up to leave, he said, 7 o'clock. "We'll meet again at dinner time." These words filled Ellie with both surprise and joy. Okay, her wish list was finally making progress. Ellie deduced from Candell's behavior that he had little resistance to physical contact. Otherwise, why would he immediately want to have dinner with her, just because she touched his face? At this moment, the butler stepped forward. When he heard that Ellie was about to have dinner with Candell, The butler was very pleased. Since the Duchess passed away, no one had dined with him. Now there was such a little lucky star willing to approach him voluntarily. The butler was naturally overjoyed. "I'll leave the Duke in your care." Then the still charming butler gave a mischievous smile. A thick, high-quality dating guide was slammed hard onto Candel's desk. "Isn't this a dating guide? Why are you recommending this?" "Of course, to help you do what needs to be done. Pull out the chair for her. Gaze at her lovingly during the meal." "I can't hear you. I can't hear you." Soon, dinner time arrived. Seeing Ellie excitedly calling his name, Candel was somewhat surprised. It was just a meal, yet she seemed so happy. Then Ellie quietly picked up her plate and sat down right next to Candel. "I want to modify the contract's content. I feel the compensation isn't quite enough." Candel hadn't expected her to be so straightforward. But money, no matter how much, wasn't a problem. However, Ellie's compensation was, he must have a meal with her every day and go out together twice a week. Candel was a bit confused about this going out part. Simply put, it means we'll date. This made Candel curious. Is that all? If he later worried the compensation wasn't enough and wanted to run away, it would be troublesome. So, he added one more condition. If not completely purified, she would bear all consequences. The moment they both signed, the contract took effect again. "How about we go for a picnic tomorrow?" Unfortunately, Candel had to go to the Imperial City tomorrow. "There's no need to rush this date, right?" "Of course there is. I'm in a hurry to win your love." However, Candel seemed to have developed immunity to such displays of affection. In just one day, Ellie's spiritual power had fully recovered. It was time to go evolve Candel. "You're up quite early." Ellie never expected to see such a dazzling sun in her room. "Your face is excessively radiant. The weather is cool now. Let's set it for noon. You should go back first. Don't you even have time to purify the curse?" The speed of her spiritual power recovery greatly shocked Candel. At this moment, Ellie reached out to unwrap his bandage. The light of the purification magic shone once again. The curse on this hand wasn't deep. Ellie finished the evolution without even breaking a sweat. Candel's azure eyes were filled with disbelief. This was the curse that took her over 10 years but couldn't break. Candel showed concern for Ellie's health, but Ellie was more concerned about whether she could go on a picnic with him. Seeing Ellie shivering in the cold wind, Candel couldn't help but comment, "I told you it's cold now." But Ellie thought this weather was perfect for their date. If someone could take off their coat and give it to me, it would be very warm. No, after all, his clothes carried the scent of the curse. That's right, Duke Candel's noble body can't catch a cold. Then Ellie, carrying a box, laid out the picnic equipment on an open space. "Come over here, there's sunshine. It's warm." At this moment, Ellie's smile outshone the bright spring light. "You're really energetic." Candel sat down, but always maintained a distance from Ellie. Ellie patted the spot, wanting her to come closer, but she always skillfully avoided it. This made Ellie imagine that she probably had been hurt in love before. Little did she know, 2 lifelong singles were sitting here. Ellie opened the 3-tier picnic box, filled with delicious food. It was obviously prepared by the butler. At this time, Ellie asked Candel what he liked to eat. "Is there anything you like?" Due to the curse, he couldn't smell anything other than decay. "I like salmon sandwiches, but I don't really like cucumbers." But then he smelled the long-lost aroma of food. It seemed everything was thanks to Ellie's evolution magic. This made him start tasting the food. He had already fallen in love with this sandwich. And this wonderful scene of him eating was replayed in Ellie's mind over and over. This made the usually outgoing Ellie too shy to speak. So much so that the flower crown in her hand was thrown and disappeared. The flower crown floated into the air with the spring breeze under their gaze. It landed in the most suitable place for him. At this moment, the gentle breeze slowly dropped flower petals around him. The falling flowers, taking advantage of Ellie's distraction, spoke of the girl's inner joy. And the instigator of all this was still unaware. This time it was Ellie who lost composure. "Stop teasing me." At this moment, the flower crown seemed to leave as if completing its mission. Ellie wanted to stop it, step forward, but she didn't notice the pond right in front of her. After a splash, Ellie was, as expected, soaked from head to toe. But there was also someone lying beneath her. Their distance at this moment was close enough to hear each other's breath. "Magician, can you stop scaring me in the future?" Ellie, blushing, bit her lower lip, looking at Candel's hand holding her, and her gentle tone and gaze. This was the romantic scene she had been dreaming of day and night. However, only Ellie among the two noticed this. Candel was still completely unaware. His actions became bolder. He carried the drenched Ellie in his arms. Let's go back for today. But the date was too short. This doesn't count. As expected, the next day, Ellie had a high fever of 180 degrees. What left Candel speechless was, Ellie was happy about catching a cold for the first time in her life. Are you joking with me? Hearing this, Ellie became more obedient. To cure Ellie, Candel called for a priest from the imperial city. To Candel's surprise, Ellie didn't ask him to stay with her because she was sick. Ellie, on the other hand, didn't expect that he would not only come to see her, but also bring a priest. Such a clingy yet considerate Ellie made Candel curious about what kind of family she came from. On the way to the imperial city, Candel's carriage met another one. Through the window, he saw a flash of white hair dancing in the wind. Could this be the priestess coming to treat Ellie? But after the other carriage passed, Candel quickly covered his mouth. Unexpectedly, Candel smiled because of this. She who enjoyed the Empire's highest honor remained unmoved. She who had her curse evolved by a girl was only surprised. Now, because of a priestess she had only seen once, she couldn't help but smile. But this smile could be forgiven, because even Ellie could barely contain herself. Golden crimson eyes shimmering with a holy light. The simple robe and scattered white hair in perfect harmony. Hello, I'm from the temple. Thank the heavens for bringing such a man into this world. I'm Michishita, a servant of the second elder. I'm Ellie. This is Michishita's hand, gently stroking the ends of Ellie's hair. Then let's start the treatment. Miss Ellie, why are you here? It's none of your business. Michishita also realized he was being abrupt. I'm sorry for my rudeness. It's all because of my personality. I'm always bullied at the temple. A low-ranking priest like me is often looked down upon. Ellie also knew about this. These house call treatments are usually handled by low-ranking priests. This could be seen from the unhealed scar on her head. However, although she was a low-ranking priest, her healing effect was quite good. Ellie's pupils flashed, thinking of a way to repay. Can you come closer to me? Of course. Ellie's hand reached out, touching Michishita's forehead. A golden light appeared in response. Ellie was a bit surprised. She didn't expect such a small wound to consume so much spiritual power. Michishita was already in shock. His dazed eyes could hardly describe the astonishment in his heart. When he checked, the wound had indeed healed. It's amazing. Bold ideas began to sprout in his mind. Are you a healing mage? I'm a purification mage. Then can you be my purification mage? I can offer you a generous reward. Weren't low-ranking priests supposed to be poor? Besides, he still had to evolve for Candel. I'm very busy. What about later? Whenever you have time, I'm always available. But for Ellie, later was too much of a luxury. Well, we'll talk about it later then. To show my gratitude, I'll always provide you with free treatment. But when you treat me, I'll pay you each time. This tempting offer, Ellie naturally had no reason to refuse. Since we have such a good connection, why don't we become good friends? While Ellie was still pondering what kind of friends they should be, Michishita had already given her the answer. Miss Ellie, I really like hearing that. It should be the kind of very close friends. If that's the case, then please take care of me, Michishita. The towering temple stood in the center of the imperial city. Returning, Michishita strode into the temple with his head held high. The priests nearby hurriedly lowered their heads, not daring to make eye contact with him. Respected Michishita, High Priest Leon, a red-haired person quickly approached. The one destined to become Pope is always running around causing trouble. At this moment, the red-haired person also noticed Michishita's healed wound. Michishita gently touched his forehead. The previous coldness instantly dissipated. It was that evolution mage who healed me. To be able to heal your wound means their power is on par with yours. How did they manage to do that? This question even Michishita himself wasn't clear about. This was precisely what intrigued him about this woman. So now the scene has become Ellie, eating grass, somehow found herself between two fierce beasts, and she became the prey they were frantically fighting over. While Candel was still pondering whether to go see Ellie, little did he know his home had already been stolen. She could have chosen not to go see Ellie, but the heart's desire always triumphs over reason. Candel, you're back. Seeing Ellie welcome him with such anticipation, perhaps this was what drove him earlier. It seems to be the first time someone has come out to welcome me. And the butler who had been welcoming him for 27 years was selectively ignored. How's that cold? Much better. The priest was amazing. The priest said he'd come back in 2 days to treat me again. After saying this, Ellie grabbed his hand, then placed it on her forehead. Feel it? Isn't it much better? Ellie's enthusiasm made Candel withdraw his hand awkwardly. You don't need to come out to welcome me in the future. It's not in the contract. But I'll miss you. Candel, didn't you miss me today? No, not at all. But his words betraying his heart seemed to be written on his face. Ellie looked at him suspiciously. But your reaction is strange. You actually missed me, right? I said I didn't. You clearly did. It's just that this guy was walking a bit fast. Candel seemed to realize this too. He shortened his steps to match Ellie's pace. So, what are you planning to do tomorrow? I plan to handle some documents at home. Why don't we go on a date tomorrow? Let's go see a show together. What's this piece of paper? Clearly, Candel had never seen a show before. These are tickets for a famous show. I booked VIP seats. But Candel flatly refused after hearing this. Even when Ellie launched her crying attack, Candel remained unmoved. Where could she go with this cursed body of hers? Once inside, everyone would surely avoid her. They would look at her with disgust. It seemed Candel needed to explain his dangerous nature to Ellie. Mage, are you really not afraid of me? My title as the Ghost of War isn't for nothing. With just a wave of my hand, hundreds of people would lose their lives. Getting close to me is like approaching death. It's normal for people to fear me. Although Ellie felt a bit scared, it wasn't enough to make her run away. This slap changed the whole atmosphere. What are you doing? I attacked the famous Duke Candel. What are you going to do with me? Plus, I always steal glances at you, grab your hand without permission, and even call you by your first name. So are you planning to get rid of me? Before Candel could speak, Ellie grabbed his collar. Did you do anything wrong? The answer I want isn't whether you can go out, but whether you want to. Can you be a little selfish? Don't consider others' thoughts. Just care about yourself for once. Tell me your answer earlier. If you don't want to go, I'll go with another man. But as soon as she said it, she regretted her words. However, for the usually self-deprecating Candel, the effect was surprisingly good. Sure enough, the next day, Ellie's wish came true. Her date request was successful. Now she could proceed with her next plan. Saying this, she positioned her footsteps in an extremely exaggerated way towards Candel. Oh no, I'm about to fall. But Candel never disappointed her. His blue eyes were filled with concern, but he quickly saw through Ellie's scheme. Stop trying to find ways to hold my hand. Can't you just pretend to reluctantly hold it? The noisy crowd made Candel involuntarily tremble. His expression was keenly noticed by Ellie. Since you're unwilling, let me do it. After all, it's just the two of us as a couple. Candel, don't worry. With me here, the opera will end perfectly after the actor's brilliant performance. That was really interesting. It wasn't bad, mainly because the lead actor was so handsome. But Candel had only been paying attention to Ellie. The actor's appearances were very vague in his impression. Do you like that prince-type look? I just like handsome men, I guess. I'm going to the restroom. You can wait for me at the carriage. A moment later, Ellie walked out of the restroom. As she was pondering where to eat, someone called out to her. This voice was all too familiar to her. It was none other than Marquis Sieg. Oh, excuse me. I was so happy to see you, I called out without thinking. Seeing this, Ellie cast a spell. Didn't I tell you I never wanted to see you again? However, Sieg was prepared this time. After snapping his fingers, his hands instantly grabbed Ellie as she was casting her spell. I've been waiting for the day I'd see you again. I can't forget the humiliation from that day. Now that you're a commoner, can I make you my concubine? But just as Sieg's hand was about to touch Ellie, the woman was about to be touched by the old man's lecherous hand. But the old man didn't know. Her lover was the demon duke known as the Track of War. Her best friend was the heir to the next pope. And this oblivious old man was now about to make his move. But before his hand could touch Ellie, Sieg's scream came from his mouth first. Mage, I've been waiting for you for a long time. You didn't come back, so I came to find you. If I only hurt these arrogant people, would you still be disappointed in me? Candel looked into Ellie's eyes, hoping for her answer, but he was interrupted by Marquis Sieg nearby. Who do you think you are? Do you know who you're talking to? Only then did Marquis Sieg clearly see Candel's appearance. He looked as if he had seen death itself. Seeing Candel raise his sword, Ellie hurriedly stopped him. Wait, he's still a Marquis after all. I am Candel. Even if you're outstanding, it's the same. Candel began to hesitate whether to tell him that the Emperor had given given him the right to punish on the spot. But his hand was suddenly grabbed by Ellie. The two hurriedly fled the venue. Candel remained silent. It seemed this Sieg was really lucky. Heaven was favoring him. I'll spare his life for now. Looking at Ellie, Candel started to overthink again. You must think I'm too cruel. But it doesn't matter. We're bound by contract anyway. You were really cool just now. Even cooler than the male lead in the show. Ellie was always like this. She would always light up his world when it was darkest. This time was no exception. The next day, while treating Ellie, she asked him a question. Can divine power cure terminal illnesses? Neither healing magic nor divine power can cure terminal illnesses. Otherwise, why would we call them terminal? Of course, there are always exceptions. If one had Pope-level divine healing power, it might be possible to fully recover. But for Ellie, this was the same as waiting to die. How could she casually meet the Pope? Actually, Dasha had noticed something while treating Ellie. Her spiritual power circuits were all tangled together. This was a rare symptom of excessive spiritual power. Although it wouldn't be fatal, she would be tormented by pain for the rest of her life. But treating this wasn't difficult for Dasha. If you don't mind, I can come regularly to treat you. Really? That makes me so happy. Is that so? Then excuse me. Ellie, suddenly embraced, hadn't yet grasped the situation. Her head was already held still by Dasha. The moment their foreheads touched, a dazzling golden light illuminated the entire room. After a long while, they finally separated. Today's treatment ends here. We'll need to do this a few more times in the future. Miss Ellie, if you really want to thank me, could you help me with something? Ellie naturally wouldn't refuse. Dasha rolled up his sleeve, revealing his bloody arm. How did you get injured like this? I don't know, it just happened. Seeing his wound heal again, Dasha smiled. This fully confirmed his thoughts. It wasn't in vain that he deliberately injured himself. How strange. Why did I use so much power? Of course it's a lot. After all, she's the next pope. Here, this is your payment for treating me. Ellie stared wide-eyed at the huge gemstone. Weren't you broke? Well, we discovered a mine at home yesterday. You're really lucky then. Dazzled by the gemstone, Ellie believed this without a doubt. Don't worry, I'll serve you for life. You're not allowed to find any other mage besides me. Of course not. Ellie and Dasha's gazes began to grow interesting. This woman won't be able to escape in the future. Ellie, having just recovered from her illness, came to find Candel. But she learned that he had stayed up late yesterday and was still sleeping. However, everything was under the butler's control. Would you like to wake him up yourself? Can I really? Of course, the butler smiled kindly. It would be even better if you two could get married on the spot. With the butler's guidance, Ellie quickly found Candel's room. The style inside the room was completely different from the outside. It seemed black had become his norm. In contrast, the bright Ellie seemed a bit out of place. Good morning, Candel. Still drowsy, he hadn't expected Ellie to appear here. But after a moment's thought, he knew who was responsible. It doesn't matter where we purify. Let's get this over with quickly. From today, I'll start purifying your upper body. It's only effective if there's skin contact. So hurry up and take off your clothes, or I can help you take them off if you'd like. No need. As Candel slowly unbuttoned each button, he revealed a body wrapped in bandages underneath. This was the first time he had shown himself to anyone else. Ellie was quite satisfied with what she saw. Oh my, this is making me feel shy. Do I need to remove the bandages for the magic too? At this point, Candel's voice had become almost inaudible. Of course, because we need skin contact for the evolution. Strange desires made him forget. Actually, during the first evolution, he was wearing gloves. After removing the bandages, Candel revealed his cursed body. At this moment, feelings of shyness and nervousness intertwined. He was afraid Ellie would be frightened by this, and also shy, fearing he might act recklessly. However, Ellie was very serious about the evolution. Your curse is too powerful. One evolution probably won't be enough, but I'll do my best. Rather than the curse evolution, Candel was more concerned about Ellie being so close. As a result, Ellie fell while treating Dasha. This caused her to overuse her spiritual power, collapsing into Candel's arms. Sorry, I used too much spiritual power treating the priest yesterday. I'll adjust better in the future. Without delaying your evolution, can I occasionally treat the priest? When he realized the priest was female, Candel didn't mind. Do as you wish. At this moment, Ellie asked Candel, when will you start dating me? Before Candel could answer, Ellie fainted first, falling into a deep sleep, and from then on, even if Ellie searched the entire Duke's mansion, she couldn't find this guy. Candel, I'm asking you, where on earth did you go? Could it be because she was too rash before? During this time when Candel was avoiding her, Dasha's relationship with Ellie became closer. Ellie was somewhat surprised that Dasha was quite good at giving relationship advice. This must mean she's dated quite a few girls, right? At this point, Dasha suggested, "Why don't you make her jealous? If she sees you with another man, she'll surely understand her own feelings." "It's a good idea, but I don't know any other men." At this moment, Dasha let down Ellie's hair. He reached out and embraced Ellie. "You're so mean." "Ellie, I'm a man too, you know." Realizing he was about to lose Ellie, Candel finally came to his senses. When he saw Ellie's intimate gestures with another man, the shackles of inferiority in his heart suddenly broke. In a mix of provocation and jealousy, the two men officially went to war. And this all began with one of Ellie's conquest plans. Dasha's proposed jealousy operation perfectly matched Ellie's intentions. If she could see a scene like this, "Magician, don't leave me. Do you want to see me go crazy for you?" That would be so thrilling just to imagine. Of course, Ellie had her own principles. "No need. I want to conquer her with my own abilities." After all, she had always been confident in her own charm. In the dead of night, Candel quietly pushed open the door. "You're only coming back now?" At this moment, the cold-blooded Duke resembled a startled kitten. "Why aren't you asleep yet? I was waiting for you. It's really hard to see a busy person like you. You haven't forgotten our twice-weekly dates, have you?" Watching Ellie walk towards him, Candel's heartbeat intensified with each step. His inner insecurity was particularly resistant to this. "Then tomorrow we can just take a walk in the backyard, right?" Ellie choked up. Now it seemed only she was clinging to this relationship. Candel seemed to only need her for his evolution. Recalling her laughable and miserable first half of life, that kind of submissiveness felt eerily similar to now. "It seems you're really busy then. Now that I think about it, we don't need to eat and go out like we're completing a task." "Duke, you're so busy. I'm being inconsiderate by bothering you." The emphasized Duke made Candel frown nervously. These four respectful words made him feel distant. "While you're busy with work, I'll eat and shop with my priest friend. Please focus on your work without worry." After saying this, Ellie stood still, waiting for his response. But the story didn't have the so-called twist. Candel, touching his aching chest, was also confused. Back in her room, Ellie flipped through her bucket list. This yellow diary was a gift from her father, and what she gave to Ron was a jewel-encrusted sword. She wanted to go to the distant west in her short life, to be buried in a place where no one would care. But now she was stuck on the fourth wish. She just wanted to complete the things she hadn't done before dying. But loneliness always seemed to permeate her entire life. The next day at the temple, Dasha prepared some new scars for herself. "Are you going to see that purification mage again?" Dasha didn't respond, just unusually tied up her hair. "Aren't you afraid your identity will be discovered if you keep this up? Can't you bring her to the temple?" "I don't think anyone would refuse the invitation of the next pope." "It's hard to say. After all, she's not an ordinary person." "True. The fact that you're interested in her is already extraordinary." After investigation, Dasha learned that she was the daughter of Duke Blanche, and also the missing fiancé of Marquis Sieg. Candel was cursed and needed her for evolution. However, their intentions seemed somewhat different. "It seems difficult to turn her into my mage. I can only take advantage while their relationship isn't deep, to completely make her my person. But how to get her?" In the end, Ellie made the first move. "Dasha, do you have time today?" "Ah, yes. What's up? Let's go play together. Let's eat together, shop together." The jealousy operation officially begins now. Before she could even plan it out, how had it already begun? Dasha displayed a captivating smile. "Of course, Miss Ellie." Their first target was to clean out the dessert shop. To Ellie's surprise, Dasha liked sweets just as much as she did. "But Dasha, you're so rich. Why do you still make house calls for treatment?" "I don't usually go out. This time it's because someone forced me." The priests always force low-ranking priests like me to make house calls. Ellie believed her good friend's words without doubt. "Don't worry. If your seniors bully you in the future, just tell me. I'll help you get revenge." "Then how do you plan to get revenge for me?" "Burn her clothes in public." "What do you think? I'm already grateful that you can say that." Just then, Ellie stopped in her tracks. A gemstone in the counter caught her attention. "I feel this would suit Candel." "What are you looking at?" The sound of falling interrupted her. "Nothing. I saw something suitable for you. I'll go ask about the price." With that, Ellie ran off in a flash. Just then, Dasha was bumped by someone. "Hey, you low-ranking priest, aren't you going to apologize to your senior? Do you know who I am? I was promoted to regular priest in just 5 years. This guy really doesn't know how formidable his senior is." Seeing this, Dasha started to consider whether to just eliminate him directly. But on second thought, with so many people around, her identity would surely be exposed. "Sorry, senior. I was wrong earlier." But before the other party could feel pleased, his clothes burst into flames, burning off his outer garment, revealing his teddy bear underwear inside. However, this wasn't Dasha's doing. After Dr. Dasha, run quickly, the girl grabbed his hand and pulled him out of the crowd. The usually omnipotent Pope heir always became flustered in front of her. "Didn't I say I would help you get revenge? If you're troubled by this, I'll go turn myself in." "Don't worry." Dasha tried hard to calm her emotions, but finally couldn't help laughing out loud. "Dasha, you're laughing like a villain now. I can't help it because, Ellie, you're just too interesting. Interesting to the point that she really wanted to completely possess you." At this moment, Dasha's possessiveness reached an unprecedented level. Meanwhile, a stone table at Duke Candel's mansion suffered a heavy blow. At this moment, Candel no longer had his usual composure. He learned from the butler that Ellie and the priest had been out in the city all day. And the priest wasn't a woman, but a man. Candel's complex emotions made him very conflicted. Even if they became lovers, it seemed to have nothing to do with him. She was just a mage who came to purify his curse. Her earlier insistence on dating was probably just a passing whim. What was I, a cursed person, expecting after all? Disgust and fear should be his destiny. The next day, Candel unusually invited Ellie for a meal. "Looks like you've finished your work." Of course, Ellie was overjoyed inside. It seemed her jealousy plan had indeed worked on Candel. "So, how have you been lately?" "Very well. I've been hanging out with friends." After saying this, Ellie secretly observed Candel's expression, but Candel remained as cold as ever. Seeing this, Ellie quickly added, "Dasha is coming this afternoon. He'll stay in the room for a while and then leave. Don't mind him." After saying this, Ellie bit her fork and asked softly, "Aren't you jealous?" The impact of Ellie's move almost broke through Candel's facade. "I'm not jealous. I don't care. As long as it doesn't affect your work on me, it's fine." "I see." Only then did Ellie realize how ridiculous her previous jealousy plan was. "I've lost my appetite. I'll leave first. Let's meet again when we continue the evolution." This time, Dasha deliberately changed his outfit and even wore glasses. "Looks like our jealousy plan didn't go well." This was exactly what Dasha wanted. Of course, this trick wouldn't work on the cold-blooded Candel. "Ellie, don't be too sad. Maybe he really doesn't have those feelings." Ellie also noticed Dasha's attire. "Why are you wearing glasses? Like a librarian? It suits you." "Today I just felt I should wear glasses. My intuition is very accurate." As the next heir to the Pope, Dasha could use prophecy skills. He dressed up and wore glasses today, because he foresaw that he would reveal his identity in front of Ellie. He just didn't expect to use prophecy to this extent. "How do you like it?" "You're so handsome. Anything suits you." "Well, if that's the case," Dasha said as he grabbed a cold cucumber. "Ellie, let's start today's treatment quickly." Meanwhile, this stubborn mule was still pondering how to face Ellie. The butler beside him couldn't bear to watch anymore. "Since you invited the young lady for a meal, don't be so cold. You even personally reminded the chef not to add cucumbers. Why are you so hesitant when face to face?" "Master, you need to face your true feelings. I heard the priest has arrived at the mansion. Why don't you go see for yourself? Don't consider anything else. Just focus on your heart." Ellie's image floated in Candel's mind. At this moment, he finally headed towards Ellie's room. Through the crack in the door, Candel saw Dasha treating Ellie inside. A surge of overwhelming jealousy instantly broke through his shackles of inferiority. He lost his reason and stepped forward, grabbing Dasha's hand. Anger and provocation clashed furiously. "Please stay away from her. I am a servant of Altion. Greetings, your grace." Ellie, caught in the middle of this conflict, was still oblivious. Why are these two gorgeous men about to fight? This was the reason Dasha wore glasses. Candel hadn't noticed his true identity. Ellie was so startled by the intense scene that she hiccuped. "Ellie, are you all right?" I'm so sorry we scared you. Candel, we're just friends doing a treatment. However, at this moment, Candel's gaze remained fixed on Dasha's hand. Dasha's provocative eyes and unruly mouth were constantly asserting dominance. Priest, you may leave. Very well, Your Grace. It seems Candel also likes Ellie. This makes things even more interesting. After Dasha left, Candel sat next to Ellie in silence. Ellie stammered, "Didn't you say you weren't jealous?" Candel himself hadn't expected to act on emotion. Could it be that he was really jealous? Just thinking about Ellie being so kind to others, he felt anxious. He didn't want Ellie to dislike him, nor did he want to hurt her. But he was still hesitant about this relationship. At this moment, Ellie delivered the final blow. Candel, what should I do? Should I go drinking with Dasha? After a brief silence, Candel spoke. Don't go. Ellie, don't go. At this moment, his complex emotions were finally sorted out. I just realized my heart could beat this fast. I find myself looking at you unconsciously, unable to control my thoughts of you. Imagining you with others makes me instantly lose my reason. I want to cut off the hand that touches you. If this is jealousy, then yes, I'm jealous to the point of madness. When his innate facade was exposed, when he finally faced his own heart, you'll know how sweet it is to date a demon duke. At this moment, with his heartbeat as accompaniment, Candel finally responded to Ellie. Imagining you with others makes me instantly lose my reason. I want to cut off the hand that touches you. If this is jealousy, then yes, I'm jealous to the point of madness. Because I'm a contaminated monster. Even touching you feels sinful to me. So, I hesitated about these feelings for a long time. You said you wanted to date me. Does that offer still stand? I like you, Ellie. Little did Ellie know, these few words were what she had waited for so long. At this moment, two passionate hearts finally met. Candel discovered that he wasn't the only one with a racing heart. Candel, please take care of me from now on. The man was stunned, but his shyness was the best response. This was his first experience of mutual love. Of course, it was the same for Ellie. The two had different dreams while sharing the same bed. Ellie thought about dating for 3 months without regrets. Candel felt he should renovate the courtyard. After all, this was where Ellie would live for the rest of her life. Ellie took out her dating to-do list, but there were many things on it that Candel couldn't do. Just then, she flipped to the back of the diary, but Ellie quickly pressed it down. The back has different content. Let's finish the front first. Candel was almost scared to death. Earlier, a page of the list was nearly discovered. At this moment, Candel looked at Ellie's plan. Toward the Imperial City. These few words made Candel fall apart on the spot. It seems you had a great time with that priest. Ellie's heart, which had just settled, rose again. That was just something I wanted to do before. It doesn't have to be with a lover. Then there's no need to do the others with me either. Hearing this, Ellie couldn't hold back and burst into laughter. I'm sorry, you're just too cute when you're jealous. But I want to do these things with my lover. Don't you want a Candel? Well, alright then. I'll have them prepare the carriage right away. In the face of Ellie's coquetry, Candel always became helpless. In the best clothing store in the entire empire, a blue long dress outlined Ellie's perfect curves. Candel, how's this one? From Candel's shocked expression, it wasn't hard to see his evaluation. After a long silence, Ellie thought Candel didn't like it. Unexpectedly, Candel spoke. Whatever you like, I'll buy them all. And all the jewelry you've looked at, I'll buy them all too. At this moment, the words wealthy and generous were written all over his face. In the end, the space occupied by clothes and jewelry forced them to squeeze together. By the way, Candel, why didn't you answer just now? I asked you earlier if I looked good in that dress. Why didn't you say anything? At this time, Candel's firm abs caught his attention. It was very beautiful. The way you looked earlier made me forget to speak. It's too late to answer now. This is an insult to me. As she said this, her hand poking his abs moved faster. Ellie, stop poking me. Suddenly, Candel grabbed her hand. Looking directly into Ellie's eyes, he said solemnly, "You're truly beautiful." The atmosphere between them was already set. Ellie asked softly, "Really? Then kiss me." Before the Duke could figure out the situation, Ellie's hand was already pressing his head, forcibly closing the distance. However, usually at this point, there would always be an untimely bystander to interrupt. Candel stood up first. He fled the scene so fast he left after images. What was all that about? The following days were very frustrating for Ellie, since he ran away in panic. Their relationship had made no progress. It was no different from before they started dating. Thinking about how little time she had left, Ellie decided to launch another offensive. Candel, wouldn't it be nice if you could feed me? Today I want to feel my lover's affection. Candel was confused. Weren't both her hands fine? Why did she need him to feed her? But since it was Ellie's request, Candel naturally wouldn't refuse. Open your mouth. After Ellie ate what Candel fed her, she quietly moved her chair next to him. Wrapping her arms around his neck, she said, "Candel, you're so gentle." Then she started nuzzling against him. This stirred up a strange impulse in Candel. To control his desires, Candel stood up. "I have a lot of documents to handle. I'll take my leave now." "Wait, hold on." Even the butler couldn't understand this guy's thought process. Could it be that Candel preferred a platonic relationship? At this moment, Ellie felt like she had been hit hard. To confirm the situation, Ellie decided to test him again a few days later. If Candel really didn't like physical contact, Ellie could actually tolerate it. "I need to purify your upper body again today." Candel had already removed his bandages and was waiting. Under Ellie's gaze, Candel took off his last piece of clothing. Ellie leaned forward and touched his body with a tissue. At this moment, Candel's mind was constantly thinking of other things, trying to distract himself. Suddenly, Ellie fell into his arms. "Ellie, are you all right?" "Candel, I feel so dizzy. Can you hug me?" Candel also saw through Ellie's scheme. "Ellie, I've been holding back all this time, so it's better if we keep our distance." But Ellie grabbed his arm. "You can do whatever you want. Don't hold back anymore." With these words, the bottom line that Candel had been guarding suddenly broke. He turned and pinned Ellie down. "You're telling me to do as I please? Can I really do anything?" Actually, all Ellie wanted was a kiss. But from the current situation, it seemed like she was about to be devoured by him. Now it was Ellie's turn to panic. After all, neither of them had any experience. Under Candel's wild gaze, Ellie finally lowered her defenses. "Candel, I was wrong." These words made Candel regain his senses. "So, what should you do from now on?" "I won't act recklessly anymore. Remember this well. Next time, I won't stop. All right, I promise I won't do this again." Candel thought that such incidents wouldn't happen again for a while. But who knew that just 2 days later, he would realize he had underestimated Ellie. A few days after his evolution, Ellie wanted to invite Candel on a date to a tavern. But this was very difficult for Candel. Although he had Ellie's healing, the fear caused by the curse was still deeply rooted. "I'm sorry. Being the lover of the monster Duke indeed means giving up many things. But I'm sorry. Even so, I can't let you go." However, going to the tavern or not didn't matter to Ellie. The important thing about a date was never the place, but being together. Ellie's understanding was unexpected to Candel. "Aren't you going to the Imperial City? Hurry and get to work." After finishing a day's work and returning home, he would have dinner with her and ask her how her day was without him. This was Candel's original plan. But this damned meeting dragged on endlessly. How long will this useless argument continue? With these words, the entire room fell silent. How dare you speak nonsense to His Majesty? If this old man wasn't Ellie's father, Candel would have probably dealt with him long ago. Even the Emperor had to watch Candel's expression. He's right. Today's meeting ends here. As soon as the words were spoken, those present saw 3 after images. While others were still sighing that the meeting had finally ended, the sound of Candel closing the door already echoed in the room. Seeing Blanche's expression, a nearby Duke advised him not to provoke Candel. "If you still want to protect your declining family, you'd better behave." These words not only infuriated Blanche, but also drew laughter from the entire room. Blanche, who fled the meeting in embarrassment, blamed everything on Ellie. "Now there's no one managing the house, and we're always spending more than we earn." Ron is also irresponsible, spending money recklessly. His wife blamed Ellie's running away from home on her. If that wretched girl comes back, all problems will be solved. So Duke Blanche planned, if Ellie would come back soon and beg for forgiveness while crying, he might be merciful enough to accept her again. "Where else could you find such a good father like me?" She dared to run away ungratefully. Meanwhile, at the Duke's mansion, Ellie finally returned to her room from the courtyard after an hour. The master was afraid you'd wait long, so he went to change clothes. "Looks like I'm not late after all. Did you run back?" Startled, Ellie quickly turned her head. "You don't need to work so hard to welcome me." While gently stroking Ellie's hair, he paired it with a charming smile. Just these 2 actions made Ellie's heart race. It seems he must be experienced in romance. But thinking about it, with his figure and face, who would believe if he said this was his first love? The multi-talented butler, in order to help them become a couple, brought out his talent hidden for 27 years. Even Candell didn't know the butler could mix drinks. As a butler, of course I should know these things. Well then, I wish you a historic night. After the butler set the mood, the two raised their glasses. You're drinking too fast. It's okay. I can handle my alcohol well. Emboldened by the alcohol, Ellie began to tell Candell about what happened today. Although they were just trivial matters of daily life, he listened with particular attention. The atmosphere between them began to gradually become subtle. At this time, Ellie explained to him, "Actually, Dasha and I are really just friends. She even gives advice for our relationship. Can she continue to come and treat me?" Candell began to wonder what treatment Ellie was receiving. But seeing her effort to conceal it, he didn't feel it was appropriate to ask. But if it was for his health, he had no reason to refuse. "Let's do as you wish then. Candell, you're really so gentle." But just then, Ellie felt something was off. This drink mixed by the butler, it felt different from what she usually drank. Ellie tried to unbutton her clothes, but found she couldn't undo them no matter what. In the end, even using all her strength was in vain. As a result, she grabbed Candell's hand. With a hazy gaze, she pleaded, "Candell, can you help me with this?" Candell only saw Ellie getting closer and closer. He could even feel her heartbeat. He hurriedly withdrew his hand. "Ellie, are you drunk?" The next second, he was pushed down by Ellie. This time, Candell no longer had his previous aura. Ellie looked down at him. "Candell, shall we finish what we didn't complete last time?" A demon duke whom even the Emperor feared, now blushing and pleading for the other to spare him, despite having a face that could charm anyone. His faithfulness was somewhat unexpected. "Candell, shall we finish what we didn't complete last time?" Candell, pinned down, tried hard to calm his emotions. But Ellie's disobedient hands made his mind wander. Candell completely lost his usual authority and could only panic and beg Ellie not to act recklessly. His appearance made Ellie laugh out loud. "Then you have to agree to one request. You have to kiss me." But this request was also challenging for the inexperienced Candell. But it was better than letting her continue to act wildly like this. This made Candell sit up. Gently caressing Ellie's cheek, he said, "Then you must keep your promise." The distance between them gradually shortened. But this guy turned his head and kissed Ellie on the cheek. "Well, this should be enough, right? Kissing on the cheek? Are you playing house with me?" It seemed Ellie had to take matters into her own hands. As Candell was held by Ellie's hands, he tried to speak. "Wait, Ellie dash." After a long while, Ellie finally pulled away satisfied. "This is what you call a kiss." And Ellie's actions completely ignited Candell. He had always tried to maintain his rationality, but was constantly disrupted by this audacious woman. "Ellie, you should know when to stop." But at this moment, drowsiness overwhelmed Ellie's mind. Candell heard Ellie start snoring, and he fell silent. Candell sat up, speechless. At this moment, he wasn't a duke. He was more like a clown. This was probably his most embarrassing moment ever. The next morning, Ellie appeared full of energy. In contrast, Candell, who hadn't slept all night, looked very haggard. Looking at him, she thought he probably forgot about yesterday. Actually, both of them remembered clearly. Ellie just pretended to have a blackout to avoid awkwardness. "I really can hold my liquor well, but yesterday's cocktail felt a bit strange." Candell's face darkened. This girl stole his first kiss and even forgot about it. "Ellie, you're not allowed to drink with others in the future." This confused Ellie. "Why? Everyone says I behave well when drinking." "Everyone, huh? How interesting." Hearing this, Candell started to overthink. Does she always drink with her ex-boyfriends? Ellie wasn't backing down either. This guy clearly had many lovers before. The butler poked his head out. "Miss, the priest has arrived." This sentence instantly made Ellie's previous momentum disappear. This guy's timing is really something. Dasha was already sitting on the sofa, waiting for a while. His gloomy expression instantly brightened when he saw Ellie. "Ellie, long time no see. I'm sorry about last time. I couldn't stop you from being kicked out." "It's nothing. You didn't do anything to wrong me. If you really feel sorry, next time you can come find me." Because Dasha didn't expect the cute Duke would actually send someone to monitor him. "Next time during treatment, can we not be so close? You have a lover now. It doesn't feel right to be in such close contact with you." Although Dasha knew it would be like this, hearing it from Ellie's own mouth still made him unhappy. "Alright, but the efficiency will decrease a bit." Then Dasha held Ellie's hand. "But you should also care about your friends, right? Has love blinded you so much that you want to abandon your friends?" No, Dasha, I don't have such thoughts. Then do you want to go to the library with me? As friends, going to the library shouldn't be a problem, right? After thinking for a moment, Ellie nodded in agreement, unaware that this was all part of Dasha's plan. This way, they could avoid the servant surveillance. If the Duchess cares about her reputation, her lover, and a priest going to the library, she probably wouldn't follow. Then I'll come along too. Candel's voice interrupted them. Candel walked in with a gloomy face, his jealousy permeating the entire room. Dasha's gaze began to turn very displeased. Ellie found herself once again caught between two men, their eyes full of hostility. Only Ellie remained oblivious to it all. Dasha spoke first. "Servant of Altium greets your grace, the Duke." But Candel completely ignored him, turning his head to stare at Ellie. Candel, aren't you very busy with work? Being with you is more important than any work. Hearing these words from Candel's mouth both surprised and delighted Ellie. Immersed in their own world, the two completely forgot about the person beside them. "So, can I go with you?" At this moment, how could Dasha refuse? "Of course, it's my honor to go with you." But his words were once again ignored by Candel. In the carriage, the three were lost in their thoughts. Ellie fantasized about Dasha and Candel becoming good friends. Dasha felt like he was the third wheel. When they saw the church in the distance, Dasha realized something was wrong. Are we going to the royal library? This put Dasha in a difficult position, as many people in the royal palace knew him. "I forgot I have some matters to attend to at the temple. I need to go back urgently." "Thank you, Mississippi. Your Grace, I'll take my leave first." After Dasha left, Ellie quietly held Candel's hand. "Candel, looks like we're going on a date to the library." Unexpectedly, Dasha's plan backfired, creating a perfect dating opportunity for the two. Ellie teased Candel for not holding her hand tightly enough. But Candel was just worried that her small, soft hand might be crushed if he gripped too hard. At this moment, Ellie remembered it was Dasha who suggested coming to the library, so she didn't know what to do here. Equally at a loss was Candel, who was following behind her. "This guy following behind me, why is he so cute?" Ellie turned around, embracing him with both hands. "Candel, stop following me. Go find a book you want to read." This sudden, intimate gesture instantly left him flustered. "Do you have to talk to me like this? Because it's a library, you need to get closer and speak softly." Although Ellie sent Candel away, this was actually part of her dating plan. The library had its own unique romance for her. Ellie deliberately reached for a book on a high shelf, thinking, Candel should be coming over to help me soon. Sure enough, a figure appeared behind her. Ellie turned around with a racing heart. "Miss, do you want this book?" An affected gaze and a loud, bubbly voice. The excess oil oozing from him could fry 5 tables worth of food. This wasn't the romantic scene she had in mind. "Please go away," the man said, unbelievably. Her charm seemed to have no effect on him. Ellie was also a bit disappointed. It seemed getting Candel to catch on was still difficult. Just as he reached for the bookshelf again, a hand beat him to it and grabbed the book. Their gazes intertwined, and an ambiguous atmosphere blossomed amidst the scent of books. "Candel, did you see everything just now?" "See what? Did you see me deliberately choosing books from high places? Or did you see me threatening that other man to leave?" Candel leaned in close to Ellie's ear, whispering softly, "I'm very pleased. From now on, treat other men just like that. If you ever change your mind and try to run away, I'll definitely find you." Although joy occupied most of Ellie's heart, her terminal illness constantly reminded her like an alarm bell. But that was a matter for later. The current date was the top priority. Just then, a long-absent voice broke the pleasant atmosphere. "Sister, are you doing well? You seem to be in good spirits." Ron bent down to greet Candel. Ellie's fear of disappearing resurfaced. Could she be trying to humiliate me in front of Candel? This was what Ellie least wanted to see. She didn't want Candel to pity her because of her family background. "Candel, you go back first. I'll talk with Ron for a while." Although Candel wanted to stay, seeing Ellie's expression, he had no choice but to nod and agree. After Duke Candel left, Ron's demeanor became even more unrestrained. "It's truly unbelievable. Are you living by wheedling the monster Duke? Watch your mouth, or you'll end up buried in the palace's backyard. You turned our home upside down, yet you're living like this. Can you stop embarrassing our family? Look at your current situation. At best, you're just a temporary plaything for the monster Duke. So just go home obediently, kneel down, and apologize to Father. Maybe he'll still forgive you. Deal with your family's issues yourself." Ellie's calmness instantly enraged Ron. He couldn't stand Ellie being so composed. Anger made him raise his fist. If it weren't for the people around discussing, he would definitely continue to vent his anger. At this moment, shock and grievance filled Ellie's heart. Who was responsible for her running away from home? As my sister, you should know your place. Don't even think about climbing above me. Although Ellie could now use magic, using it in the palace would only make things more complicated. She didn't want this to reach Candel's ears. However, Ellie had her own way of venting her anger. I'll make sure this family line ends here. Under Ellie's heavy blow, only the sound of cracking eggshells could be heard. The years of frustration Ellie had endured from him were largely relieved with this one kick. But it was then that Ellie realized the important task of observing was now completely ruined. Injured Ellie naturally wouldn't return directly to the Duke's mansion. If Candel found out, it would surely be troublesome. After a careful examination by the priest, it was discovered that Ellie's bones had already developed cracks. But the other party's healing effect was very poor. This is my limit. You can pay more to find a higher-level priest. To Ellie's surprise, the difference between low-level priests was so great. It was completely different from the healing effect of Doxia, she knew. Ellie now had no money for treatment, but going to see Candel like this was embarrassing. Just then, a hand gently touched Ellie's shoulder. "Miss, what are you doing here at this time?" Hearing this, Ellie was momentarily speechless. The shop owner, Charbel, seemed to notice something. "Would you like to sit for a while in my clothing store?" Ellie, with nowhere to go, didn't refuse. "What do you think of this new style?" But Ellie had no mind to care about these things now. At this time, the shop owner spoke. "In my business, I always meet many people. Everyone has their own story. It seems, Miss Ellie, that you've probably had a very difficult day. But I still hope you can end today comfortably." The shop owner used her hair to cover Ellie's wound. Ellie's timid heart finally found a place of comfort. Actually, Ellie and the shop owner were strangers. The shop owner had a very close relationship with Huang Nu, and Huang Nu had been engaged to Ron. Although there was some connection, this was their first meeting, but Ellie was very grateful to have made such a friend. In the brightly lit Duke's mansion, the butler hurriedly opened the door. "Miss Ellie, are you all right?" The servants and chaos around all shouted loudly. The young miss is finally home. Everyone's anxious emotions and joy upon seeing her left Ellie momentarily stunned. How were they all waiting for her to come home? After a while, she came to her senses. She was no longer alone. She just hadn't realized it before. Of course, to say who was most worried about Ellie, it was definitely this man rushing towards her. He didn't say a word, but his eyes expressed his thoughts. "Ellie, where did you go after leaving me?" Ellie's joyful emotions were mixed with a bit of fear. She was worried Candel would notice her injury. "I'm sorry I came back so late. You're not hurt anywhere, are you?" "Of course not. I haven't seen my family in a long time. I just lost track of time chatting." Candel finally breathed a sigh of relief. He spoke with some disappointment. "I was very worried about you, but I'm relieved that you came back safely." He then reached out his hand to Ellie. "Ellie, welcome home." At that moment, the hair covering Ellie's wound fell, revealing her swollen and bruised cheek. The air around them instantly froze. "Ellie, what happened to this injury?" The woman protected by the future Pope and the Demon Duke now returned home with bruises and swelling on her face. Two men with completely opposite personalities, yet their emotions were surprisingly in sync at this moment. Candel reached out and brushed Ellie's hair aside. "Who did this? Who dared to touch your face?" Anger and heartache filled Candel's eyes. Ellie was frightened by his reaction. She was thinking about whether to say she didn't know or that she fell, but Candel interrupted her. "Is this from a fall or a punch? And you received treatment from a low-level priest less than half a day after being hit." Ellie's lie hadn't even left her mouth before Candel exposed it on the spot. After all, how could someone as battle-hardened as her not be able to distinguish wounds? Ellie remembered the fate of those who provoked her. "Candel, will you harm her if you find out? How could I possibly let her off easily?" "But Ellie, think about it." "Candel, I'm sorry for making you worry. I'll handle this matter myself." After all, Ellie didn't want to waste time on such things. Hearing this, Candel didn't press further. "Since you say so, all right then. I'll call a priest to treat you properly." "Thank you, Candel." Even with bruises on her face, it didn't affect Ellie's smile. And the more she smiled, the more Candel's heart ached for her. He had anticipated that she wouldn't tell him the name. However, finding out about a person was nothing for him. Renoj, go find out what exactly happened. This woman he had always carefully protected now came home injured. How could he possibly let it go? This made Candel's long-disappeared sadistic side resurface. Moreover, that Blanche family that Ellie never wanted to mention, he wanted to find out exactly what had happened. In the majestic temple conference room, Doxia sat in the central seat with a lifeless expression. It turned out he had to attend a meeting just like Candel. At that moment, his attendant pushed the door open, but was angrily rebuked by an old priest nearby. Can't you see we're in a meeting? High Priest Doxia, even if you're a strong candidate for the next pope, you can't let your subordinates be so undisciplined. Indeed, seeing you criticize me like this, I really should discipline them better. Hearing this, the old priest trembled with anger. I was in the temple before you even made a sound. Since when did the temple start prioritizing spiritual power? The subordinate whispered in Doxia's ear, telling him about Ellie. It's me who is unwell. I have to leave now. Excuse me. Doxia turned and left after saying this. His action made the old priest howl with anger, but Doxia left him with only a disdainful smile. Walking on his way to visit Ellie, Doxia was in an exceptionally good mood. The afternoon sunlight scattered on the girl's hair tips. Along with the golden fallen leaves, the girl turned back expectantly. Doxia, you're here. Hello, Ellie. The defiant one in the temple earlier, his tone was surprisingly gentle at this moment. For Doxia, nothing was more important than seeing her. His action was almost identical to Candel's, brushing aside Ellie's hair and cupping her swollen cheek. When it came to wounds, he was more experienced than Candel. So who did this? His intelligent gaze overshadowed his usual gentleness. The icy cold tone was unprecedented. At this moment, Doxia made Ellie panic. How was his appearance so similar to Candel's? After Doxia's gentle touch, the swelling instantly disappeared. Seeing Ellie frightened, his tone became gentle. Who exactly did this? Could it be Candel? He wouldn't do this. Then who was it? Doxia suddenly closed the distance with Ellie. Seeing Ellie turn her head and remain silent, this made Doxia very curious. Who could make her keep quiet? She was a woman protected by the future pope and the ghost of war. Who would dare to touch her? But not telling him made it even more interesting. After all, he could find out. Of course, Candel was probably already doing this. Miss, since you're sick, you shouldn't walk around. Seeing Doxia's expression return to normal, Ellie finally relaxed. Doxia, thank you. At this time, Doxia asked Ellie to stretch out her wrist. Doxia took out a necklace and helped Ellie put it on. This is a bracelet imbued with divine magic. Although insignificant, it has healing effects. This must be expensive, right? It's a gift of friendship. This shiny gift made Ellie love it dearly. Thank you, Doxia, but I haven't prepared anything for you. It's all right. You spending time with me is enough. This necklace wasn't as simple as Doxia said. It could check Ellie's health status at any time and would summon him in case of danger. At this time, in the Duke's room, Candel was flipping through a thick quality dating guide. This thing he once sneered at, now he was analyzing word by word. Quality dating rule 21. Too quick physical contact will make people tired of you. The words tired of hit Candel like a heavy blow. I'm starting to hate you, monster. We're tired of you. So let's break up. Thinking of this, Candel's self-doubt once again occupied his heart. No matter what method Candel uses, he absolutely cannot let her leave him. Soon, Ellie came again to purify his body. Ellie was glad that this time it was in the office. If it was always in the bedroom like last time, the review brother would probably cut me off again. Candel tried hard to calm his emotions. Soon, Ellie's evolution was over. Candel hurriedly put on his clothes. This body of his was not yet qualified to touch Ellie. To prevent Ellie from leaving, he could only try to keep his distance. Shall we cook together? I want to try with my lover. That's too close. Candel tried hard to push Ellie away, but his outstretched hand was taken by Ellie to kiss. So, you don't want to cook with me? The two seemed to have taken the wrong script. For the sweet atmosphere of lovers, the butler had already prepared the perfect kitchen. At this time, Ellie picked up an apron. Candel, you wear this. But this small apron made Candel really struggle to keep his composure. This seems a bit small for me. However, Ellie's thoughts were even more outrageous. It would look so cute if you put it on. Then let's not wear it. Let's just cook. At this moment, Candel remembered the boredom ritual. Ellie, how about we take it slow? Of course we can. Candel didn't expect Ellie to agree so readily. Little did they know, they were not on the same page. One thought it was about physical contact, the other thought it was about cooking progress. And so, these two people who couldn't cook used all their life's knowledge. The flying pancake was bounced back into the pan by Ellie's magic circle. Seeing Ellie covered in sweat, Candel chuckled. Unexpectedly, even the usually serious Candel had moments when he couldn't keep his composure. Both of their cooking skills were clumsy, just like their inexperienced love. Candel opened his mouth as Ellie offered him a strawberry. This made Candel, who had just decided to keep his distance, sweat even more. But he didn't want to disappoint Ellie's goodwill. At this moment, Ellie tilted his chin up, instantly moving close to him. Candel, you seem to have something on the corner of your mouth. However, Ellie's method of cleaning it for him was a bit special. This made Candel shy to an unbelievable degree, while Ellie had a look of success. Last time's kiss was when I was drunk, not romantic at all. This time I want to do it when we're both sober. I also have something on the corner of my mouth. Can you help me with it? Watching Ellie gradually approaching him, the self-doubt in Candel's heart awakened him. Ellie, do you really not care at all? Doesn't she worry about getting bored? It seems like only he was constantly anxious and insecure. Then Candel suddenly stood up from his seat. He took the napkin from the table and wiped the corner of her mouth clean. I'm gonna rest first. This smooth series of actions left Ellie stunned in place. The next day, a book on how to tame wild animals was held in Ellie's hands. It seems she really needs to have a good talk with him today. The book says if you want to get close to a wild animal, you can't scare it. The methods they both used to gain love knowledge were surprisingly similar. Seeing Ellie arrive, Candel didn't dare to look directly at her. Magician, you're here. Why am I a magician again? Why are you calling me that? Seeing Candel remain silent, Ellie spoke up. You're not angry, are you? No. Then why are you calling me a magician? Candel remained silent again. At this moment, Ellie remembered the content of the book. She burst out laughing. Candel, how can you be so cute? You find so many things cute. Because Ellie ignored her request, Candel wanted to throw a little tantrum. But unexpectedly, as soon as she heard Ellie call her cute, her anger immediately dissipated. Her angry look made Ellie chuckle. Well, Candel, just tell me, why are you angry? Of course, Candel wouldn't tell her. You, who are loved by thousands, are completely different from a monster like me. She didn't want this only girl willing to get close to her to become bored of her. Well, it's because you didn't take my request seriously. What request? The one about progress I mentioned yesterday. After saying this, Candel shyly buried her head in the newspaper. At this moment, Ellie remembered what Candel said yesterday. Weren't you talking about cooking progress at that time? So you were talking about physical contact. Candel blushed as she was exposed. I'm sorry, Ellie. I did something stupid. Our Candel thinks the progress is too fast. Is that right? So you were sad because of this? But who was it before that firmly said they wouldn't stop? Candel's attempt to overturn her own embarrassing history made Ellie laugh out loud. Just as she was embarrassedly about to turn and leave, Ellie grabbed her. This time, Ellie became serious. Are you trying to run away again? Let go of me. This magician doesn't want to let you go. Ellie, I love you so much. Please let me go. That shy expression plus the aggrieved tone made Ellie really think she had hurt her for a moment. But when she let go, this little one left so fast, she even left an afterimage. This guy actually learned to lie just to escape. Candel, who ran out of the Duke's mansion, found it hard to calm her emotions. Although she had done something to disappoint her, Ellie always managed to brush it off as a joke. This made her previous worries seem a bit unnecessary. Looking at Ellie making faces at the window, they smiled at each other, and the small rift between them dissolved. Of course, Ellie's advances still overwhelmed Candel. Ellie's teasing became more frequent. Remember not to get lost on your way home. And Candel didn't resist this kind of teasing. Remember not to run away out of shyness while working. Under Ellie's watchful gaze, Candel smiled as she got into the carriage. The carriage moved from the bright Duke's mansion into the dark forest. It stopped in front of a simple hut. Candel, who got off the carriage, became very cold, completely losing the shyness she had when facing Ellie. The moment the door of the hut opened, a familiar figure appeared. Long time no see, young Master Blanche. At home, he was a lovesick warm man teased by his wife at will. Once outside, he transformed into a ruthless demon duke, switching between two faces at will. And Ellie was his switch. But this girl he treasured so much came home injured that day. All thanks to his brother Ron. Long time no see, young Master Blanche. A flat tone filled with killing intent. But Ron, who was untied, remained oblivious. You bastard, do you know you're? But his words were cut off by a punch. Looks like your head isn't clear yet. A guy like you, don't you dare touch my people. Ellie is so precious, I don't even dare to touch her. After several minutes of screaming, Ron, covered in blood, lay twitching on the ground. Candell wiped his fists. I don't want to kill you. But remember this well. The reason I'm being merciful and sparing you is only because Ellie hasn't allowed me to kill you. A few days later, Ellie suddenly realized an issue. They hadn't made any progress for quite some time. She had signed a 3-month dating contract with her, and now only 10 weeks were left. Candell, when you said slower, how slow did you mean? Hearing this, Candell lowered her head shyly. I hope we can go as slow as possible. Then you little guy, how slow exactly do you want it? At this moment, Ellie put down her fork and said, but I want it with you right now. Upon hearing this, not just Candell, even the maid beside them blushed. The experienced butler hurriedly shooed them away. After all, they were discussing matters about future generations. What are you thinking? Candell deliberately avoided eye contact. Ellie, however, pressed on. Everything, hugging, kissing, and that. Before she could finish, Candell timely silenced her with a piece of bread. Candell, I really thank you. Otherwise, he would have locked me in the dark room again. You know, my body is rotting due to the curse. So for me, it's still difficult to be intimate with you. Ellie responded with a smile. Then there's no choice. I can only be more serious about helping you treat the curse. Before Candell could react, Ellie grabbed her hand. If you're very concerned, I'll work harder to help you evolve, so you won't be troubled and can touch me more easily. The moment Candell heard these words, it was as if ripples stirred in her heart. This indescribable feeling, could it be the love that everyone always talks about? Lying on the bed, Ellie pondered how to evolve faster. But now, even her upper body hadn't fully evolved, let alone going further with her. Suddenly, Ellie seemed to realize something. Judging from her flustered and confused look every time she faced her, could it be that she was her first dating partner? This wasn't what Ellie wanted. She only wanted a 3-month casual relationship. So the next day, she followed the butler all the way. With her superb tracking skills, she was discovered by the butler in less than 3 seconds. Miss, do you want to tell me something? Well, I want to ask about Candell. What do you want to know? Her assets, power, or the Duchess's happy life? Unfortunately, it's none of those. Am I Candell's first love interest? This question made even the usually composed butler sweat profusely. One wrong word could mean no future heirs. Finally, he chose a safe middle ground. I'm not too sure about this, but I think probably not. So, it is like that. I really shouldn't have asked this question. Seeing Ellie so happy, the butler finally let out a sigh of relief. Ellie, who had just walked a short distance, stopped because she found her cuddling target, Candell, in front of her. When Candell turned around, she found Ellie already pouncing towards her. Joy welled up in Ellie's heart. This casual romance finally felt unburdened. Her direct gaze left Candell at a loss. Candell, don't be so boring. Hug me. Didn't you say we could hug? Come on, today's hug. But the corridor is too open. There are many people. Let's do it next time. Before he finished speaking, Ellie had already pulled him into the room. This time Candell didn't resist, although he still remained shy. Candell, it should be fine to hug here, right? Unexpectedly, this time it was Candell who took the initiative to embrace Ellie. His action delighted Ellie immensely, but before she could be happy for long, she noticed something wasn't quite right. Candell's sword that he always carried was pressing against her. This made even the usually bold Ellie feel a bit shy. Candell naturally noticed it too, and the next second, with a pop, he pushed Ellie away. Well, I think that should be enough, right? This time, unexpectedly, Ellie didn't continue. After all, what just happened caught her off guard too. What a vigorous young man indeed. Now I don't have to worry about the curse's effect. To regain his composure, Candell changed the subject. I see you often wear this bracelet. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's a gift from Doxia. But he regretted saying that as soon as he finished. Candell's earlier tent was kicked down, and his inner self began to attack the evil Doxia. But then he remembered what was written in the book. Excessive ordinariness would make both of them bored. This left his inner self at a loss for what to do. Candell, don't misunderstand. This is just a treatment method Doxia gave me for my health. Candell forced himself to squeeze out a smile. I don't misunderstand. Friends can certainly give gifts to each other. When I'm busy, you can also find him to pass the time. Candel's words were truly unexpected for Ellie. I didn't expect my Candel to be so understanding. As it turned out, his words came true the next day. Candel had to go to the palace for that long, boring dog meeting. Remember to come back quickly, okay? At this moment, Candel was fidgeting with something in his pocket. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong, Candel. After saying that, he gently caressed Ellie's cheek and carefully put a purple gemstone on her. What is this? It's a gift for you. It suits you well. He gently brushed Ellie's hair aside. The gemstone matched perfectly with her crystal pendant. Ellie finally understood, so he was jealous about the bracelet. But what's cute is that he didn't say it directly, instead expressing his feelings by giving a gift. Aren't you leaving yet? The coachman was ruining the atmosphere. The ceremony was becoming increasingly skilled. All right, you need to go to the meeting. Yes, I need to go to the meeting. In the last moment before leaving, Candel felt something was missing, so he turned back and embraced Ellie. This is today's hug. After saying those cool words, he left with a wolf-like fleeing figure. Ellie gently touched the gift he gave her. Watching Candel leave, she thought, this might be what love is. Miss Ellie. The previous scene was interrupted by Doxia's entrance. Ellie, this is the first time I've seen such a beautiful necklace. Thank you, after all. It's from my Candel. Let's go play today. Won't your lover mind? He said it's okay. Doxia, who should have been happy, felt very irritated after hearing this. However, the two of them had a genuinely good time. After a morning full of laughter, Ellie offered to treat this time. After all, you always treat. It's my turn now. What do you want to buy? I want that bracelet you liked last time. Isn't that too cheap? Can't help it. I just like that one. Wasn't that bracelet you helped me choose? You said it suited me. Ellie naturally couldn't refuse, and this cunning boy deliberately pretended not to know how to wear it. Seeing this, Ellie had to help him put it on. Thank you, Ellie. It's really beautiful. By the way, what's that on your hand? This is a gift for my lover. Doxia immediately regretted asking this question. Speaking of which, there's a strange rumor going around lately. Ellie had already guessed what he was going to say. I heard that Duke Candel broke Marquis Seeger's arm for a companion. That companion is you, isn't it, miss? This also made Ellie a bit worried. If this news reached her parents' ears, they would definitely confront Candel about taking her away. They might use their parental relationship to make unreasonable demands of Candel. Just as she was lost in thought, Doxia interrupted. Ellie, look at me. Are you okay? I'm sorry. We were supposed to be having fun. I shouldn't be like this. It'll be all right. Trust me. Doxia always noticed Ellie's emotions first. Doxia's tone also made Ellie feel much more at ease. You should trust me. I'm your most reliable priest friend. I will always protect you, no matter what. Okay, I understand. But just as they were laughing and talking, the wall above them suddenly cracked. He had wanted to disguise his identity and play a love game with the girl. But when danger came, the girl cast all the life-saving magic circles on him, and he closed his eyes amidst the falling debris. At this moment, he finally succumbed to his feelings. Their laughter and joy were interrupted by the sudden cracking of the wall above them. Ellie had learned protective magic. In this situation, it was hard to survive. Both of them thought for a moment. They were about to die. But Doxia was almost instantly. Ellie made her decision in an instant. If she layered the magic spells, there might be a chance to save him. The magic circles that appeared before her made Doxia look at Ellie in disbelief. What surprised him even more was that he himself had no protective measures at all. Just as the debris was about to fall, Ellie chose to close her eyes. The image of Candel flashed before her eyes like a life review. Although her life had been short and tragic, these recent days could be considered fulfilling. But suddenly, a white figure appeared in front of her. All the falling debris landed on him. When the dust settled, Ellie slowly opened her eyes. She found Doxia tightly shielding her underneath him. Before Ellie could understand the situation, she heard Doxia's anxious and somewhat confused voice. Miss, are you crazy? But she didn't respond to Doxia's reproach. Doxia, you're not hurt? That's great. Ellie's words made Doxia even more choked up. Ellie continued, you mustn't move. If the magic weakens, the debris will bury you in the ruins. I'm still casting the spell. Don't worry. An indescribable emotion rose in Doxia's heart. With a wave of his hand, the debris on his body was instantly thrown off. Why did you do such a stupid thing? These words confused Ellie. She asked, why did you only cast the protection spell on me? Ellie didn't understand understand why he was angry. After all, she was dying soon. Of course she would make such a choice. Because you're my friend. Doxia looked at the woman before him in disbelief. He must be crazy. They had only met a few times, yet he risked his life to protect her, saving him at the cost of her life. What could she gain in the end? Anyway, we both survived. That's really fortunate. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. You even managed to destroy the Swordmaster. You must be about to be promoted to a higher rank. But Doxia was only concerned about Ellie's injuries now. Don't worry, I'm fine. Her calm demeanor made Doxia feel even more distressed. She was clearly injured, yet pretending to be fine. Do you know you almost died just now? Well, everyone dies eventually. But miss, you can't die. Doxia's voice became urgent. Do you think I would just watch you die? She thought about that guy in front of her. She could turn a blind eye for now. After all, there was still time. But without her permission, this woman absolutely cannot die. You're not allowed to let yourself get hurt like this in the future. Ellie nodded in agreement. It seemed Doxia had been greatly shocked. At this moment, Doxia glanced at the ruins behind him. Even a dilapidated building wouldn't collapse without warning like this. It seems those people have become too reckless, and the life and death experience of love just now seemed to have been completely forgotten. After playing all day, Ellie returned to the Duke's mansion. Candel had been waiting here for a long time. Ellie, you're back. Upon seeing Candel, Ellie's fatigue instantly vanished. Candel, this is my hug for today. Didn't we hug this morning? I don't know. I can't remember. But just as the two were sweetly embracing, Candel noticed something amiss. Did something happen today? Like an accident. There's a slight smell of dust on you. Ellie didn't expect this kid to have such a keen sense of smell. It's nothing. Maybe because I fell on the road. Are you hurt? Just a small scratch. But Doxia has already helped me heal it. Of course, Candel didn't believe it at all. After checking herself, she found it was indeed as Ellie said. This finally made her breathe a sigh of relief. Did you have fun today? Of course I did. Oh, I see. Sensing Candel's disappointed tone, Ellie hugged her tightly. But I still prefer being with you. This girl's jealous look was really cute, but she needed to purify the curse for her soon. If one day she wasn't around, Candel would have to live alone with the curse again. So a new round of evolution began. But you don't look well. Don't worry, I'm fine. Actually, Ellie was lying. To protect Doxia, she had used up all her spiritual power. Candel grabbed her hand. Ellie's panting already explained everything. Then she collapsed into Candel's arms. Ellie, are you okay? I'm fine, just a bit cold. Her condition made Candel panic. Then I'll get something to cover you. At this moment, Ellie spoke. I want to take a hot bath. I'll have the maid prepare it for you. But Ellie held onto her clothes. Unless it's someone I trust, I won't let them help me bathe. In simple terms, it meant Candel. Can you help me bathe? What did you say? Her previous worry instantly turned to shyness. I just want you to keep me company and talk, and I'll keep my clothes on. Seeing Ellie's discomfort, Candel understood now was not the time to back down. In the misty bathroom, Candel softly asked, is the water temperature okay? The water temperature is just right. But do you really have to do this? Yes, I must do this. Even if it's for my sake. This guy really annoyed Ellie. She then grabbed her arm. I'm warning you, if you run away this time, I'll run far away too. After saying this, Candel froze in place. Her heart seemed to skip a beat. Are you being sincere? However, Ellie hadn't realized the seriousness of the issue. How could you say such a thing? Candel looked straight into her eyes, making Ellie feel afraid for the first time. I mean, hiding in this mansion like playing hide and seek. Oh, that's what you meant. Of course. I'm sorry, Ellie. I misunderstood just now. I almost considered whether to tie you up. What are you saying? You're really joking around. Little did she know, this kid was being completely serious. Looking at Candel's expression, Ellie stopped what she was doing. She then cleared her throat twice, getting into her own state. Well then, Candel, can you help me wash? Seeing Candel's panicked look, Ellie quickly explained. Just wash my hair, that's all. That I can do. The delicate foam spread along her hair. Each of Candel's movements was extremely careful. Just then, she noticed a scar on the back of Ellie's neck. Ellie, what's this scar about? Oh, this? When I was little, Ron accidentally pushed me, and I fell down the stairs. But Ron said I pushed him first, and I was scolded by my parents because of it. They said I deserved it. Candel's hand washing her hair paused slightly. If she had known this earlier, she should have crippled that guy's hands. I remember they locked me in my room. I could only stare blankly at the closed door, constantly mumbling, open the door, please open the door. Mom said it was to cultivate my patience, so all I could do was wait. Candel, don't you dislike the color of my hair? Someone once said my hair wasn't good, that it hurt their eyes to look at. Who said such crazy things? Just tell me. I'll cut off their tongue right away. His expression made Ellie laugh out loud. Forget it, just answer my question. How could I dislike it? If you don't dislike it, then you like it? Candel nodded without hesitation, telling Ellie. So only my hair is beautiful? Everything about you is beautiful. If that's the case, kiss the part you think is the most beautiful. But when someone who gets shy even from eye contact is completely awakened by constant teasing, you'll know just how bad this man can be. Candel said, only your hair is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. Then kiss the part you think is the most beautiful. Their heartbeats quickened. Through their tightly clasped hands, they completed a silent resonance. After a brief hesitation, Candel took Ellie's hair and kissed it. But there's no part of you that isn't beautiful. After saying this, he held her hand again. Then should I invade your entire body? You can start from where you most want to kiss. Faced with such ambitious teasing, Ellie didn't back down. Candel kissed Ellie's hair, bringing their distance to the closest. This time, he closed his eyes first. After they reluctantly parted, the love in Ellie's eyes became undisguised. This kiss finally counted as romantic. Gently caressing, Candel, you did well. Let's kiss like this again next time. However, Candel wasn't always this quick-witted. After you buy me clothes today, will you help me put them on? The shop owner Charbel will help you. This angered Ellie. She pounded his 24-pack abs with her palms. However, its hardness was comparable to a cement floor. Are you giving me a back massage? At this moment, Gerald's appearance interrupted their flirting. Ellie, I'll leave first. I'll be back soon. After Candel left, Ellie entered the clothing store alone. However, today when Charbel saw Ellie, he was sweating profusely because standing behind him was Ellie's mother. Ellie, isn't this my daughter? However, her eager gaze made Ellie very uncomfortable. Long time no see. Mother Ellie, why are you here? Where have you been all this time? I've been so worried about you. However, her outstretched hand was slapped away by Ellie. Worry? Yet I have the leisure to browse a clothing store. During this time, I didn't see a single notice looking for me. This left her speechless. I was powerless in this matter too. You don't need to explain anymore. Even when you could do something, didn't you just stand by? Seeing Ellie's eyes turn cold and the situation becoming difficult to salvage, her mother could only say a somewhat reluctant "I'm sorry." This perfunctory apology made Ellie not want to see her for another moment. Ellie, coming out of the clothing store, wanted to escape from here as quickly as possible. At this moment, a hand firmly grasped her. Ellie, are you all right? Who made you cry? Ellie's previous panic instantly calmed down with these simple actions. I'm not crying. I just missed you so much, so I ran out. Let's just go straight home today. From that day on, Ellie became absent-minded. Even for today's hug, Candel had to remind her personally. And even when hugging, it was just perfunctory. Although Candel wanted to stay by her side, he had an important meeting today. The weather outside was as gloomy as Ellie's thoughts at the moment. Today she received a letter from her mother. The letter was full of her mother's pleas for forgiveness, wanting to apologize in person. Looking at the longing expressed between the lines, Ellie found it quite laughable. However, she eventually chose to meet. Her mother had been waiting for a long time again. She was very happy to see Ellie arrive. Try this, it should taste good. And her expression at this moment was completely opposite to how she used to scold her loudly. Don't you have something to say to me? The lady lowered her head in repentance upon hearing this. I've been feeling very sorry lately. I didn't take good care of you before. Only after losing you did I realize how precious you are. I even fell ill and was bedridden for a long time because of it. Her rambling was interrupted by Ellie standing up. I've heard your apology, but I don't plan to go back to see Ellie. Preparing to leave, the lady suddenly started confessing. Ellie, I'm really sorry this time. I really didn't mean to. Just as Ellie didn't understand the meaning of this sentence, a hand reaching out from outside the room gave her the answer. Before she could react, she instantly lost consciousness. Blanche glanced at the unconscious Ellie like looking at trash. Turning to the lady, he spoke. Didn't I tell you? The way to bring back a runaway daughter has never been through apologies. The cold handcuffs contain binding magic. It seems Blanche went to great lengths to lock up Ellie. Just like that, she returned to this room where she had been imprisoned since childhood. When the morning sun shone on Ellie again, the door behind her was also opened. I locked you up to make you reflect, but I see you have no remorse at all. I didn't do anything wrong. Didn't do anything wrong? Yes, I didn't. But before Ellie could finish speaking, she was met with a resounding slap. Before Ellie could come to her senses, she was grabbed by Blanche again. Clearly, just one slap wasn't enough to calm his anger. You say you. The heartbreaking slaps were drowned out by the thunder outside. This time, Ellie no longer had the strength to stand up. I spent so much money raising you, and you ran away to that monster's house. You even instructed that monster to do this to your brother's face. Until you reflect properly, don't even think about coming out. After Blanche's anger, what was left was Ron's mockery. Look at the state of you. It's ridiculous. Do you know what kind of humiliation I suffered because of you? However, before Ron could be happy for long, his screams were heard. Ellie had bitten off a piece of flesh from his outstretched hand. You lunatic! Ellie contemptuously spat out his flesh from her mouth. Ron, who was arrogant just moments ago, was instantly terrified at this sight. Indeed, staying with the monster Duke, she's gone mad too. This scene was all witnessed by Jorling. After Ron fled the scene in a mess, Ellie collapsed on the ground, losing her strength. In a place where no one was around, she finally dropped her facade. In this cold room, Ellie's thoughts lingered on that warm figure. Candel, where are you now? Just then, Anna's voice was heard. Unexpectedly, Ellie's prayer was answered. Miss, Duke Candel is here. To continue using her daughter as a tool, she showed her fatherly authority through slaps and imprisonment. However, when faced with Candel's angry gaze, she cowered like a dog, too scared to make a sound. The cold room was empty. Ellie's thoughts lingered on that beautiful figure. At this moment, her longing for Candel reached an unprecedented level. Fortunately, all good things come unexpectedly. Miss, Duke Candel is here. He's downstairs right now. Blanche walked out of the room, cursing. Duke Candel, you're truly rude. I'm here to pick up my lover. Hearing this, Blanche instantly panicked. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm saying I'm here to take Ellie. Duke Blanche, you'd better let me take her away. After all, I'm worried you can't bear the consequences. Seeing Candel's demeanor, Blanche finally understood. He wasn't here to ask for his consent. In the room, Ellie trembled as she stood up after hearing of Candel's arrival. Through the window, she finally saw the familiar figure. Candel, you've finally come to get me. Ellie yanked down the nearby curtain. Then she wrapped it around her left hand. The glass in front of her shattered in the next second. Among the scattered shards, Ellie walked barefoot. The pain from her feet was nothing compared to the sunlight that greeted her. Ellie shouted Candel's name in front of everyone. In Candel's shocked expression, she stood on the windowsill. Facing the sunlight, she completed a grand escape. The joy in Ellie's heart was hard to conceal, but the bruises on her smiling face made Candel's smile instantly disappear. That gaze flickering with murderous intent made Blanche tremble all over. You must atone with your lives. Candel's calm tone contained a killing intent that was terrifying. At this moment, Ellie gently stroked his cheek. Candel, let's go. I want to go home, back to our own home. After a long pause, Candel smiled and nodded in agreement. Seeing this scene, Blanche started barking madly. Where are you taking my daughter? However, the only response was Candel's cold gaze. Looking at the bruises on Ellie's face, Blanche was confused. She didn't hit that hard. Why such a fuss? The reason Candel could come so quickly was because of Joel's tip-off. He was one of the few people in this family who treated Ellie well. After the two got into the carriage, Candel tore off the shackles binding Ellie. The emotions of the two upon returning home were completely opposite. Candel, thank you for coming to get me. But guilt filled Candel's heart. He even thought about destroying Ellie's family. I am sorry, Ellie. I came late. Faced with Candel's apology, Ellie didn't respond. Candel, can I kiss you? I really want to kiss you right now. Of course, if you're willing. After a while, Ellie was the first to pull away. But Ellie, I haven't had enough. Can I continue kissing you? No matter what, I feel it's not enough. At this moment, Ellie finally realized her true feelings. Candel, I like you. Ellie's confession this time became very heartfelt. She just realized how much she liked Candel. Although she knew the ending of the story, but she still involuntarily followed her heart. This made Ellie fear the arrival of separation for the first time. Thoughts melted in the burning gaze. All that remained were bodies full of love. But Ellie suddenly realized her condition didn't seem quite suitable for going further. Candel also realized this. Although I'm going crazy with desire, now is not the time. All right then, everything as you say. Just as the two were about to cuddle again, the usually clever butler this time played the role of a third wheel. The priest has arrived. This guy's timing is impeccable. Ellie, who did this to you, with the same cold gaze as Candel. It sent chills down Ellie's spine. I think I told you before. Don't get hurt easily. You don't seem to have taken my words to heart. At this moment, he glimpsed Ellie's wrist. Ellie herself also realized. That bracelet you gave me before was too beautiful. I couldn't bear to wear it. This was also the reason why Dao Xiao was unaware. Another point that made Dao Xiao even angrier was Ellie's lips, somewhat disheveled from kissing. These injuries couldn't be from your lover. But she was interrupted by Ellie before finishing. How could it be? This is because I was kidnapped. After Dao Xiao's treatment, Ellie quickly recovered. Dao Xia specifically reminded, remember to wear the bracelet in the future. Okay. Just then, Dao Xia discovered that Ellie's feet were full of glass shards. You didn't tell me about this injury. You weren't planning to leave it like this, were you? Seeing Dao Xia gently stroke her foot, Ellie's face instantly turned red. Dao Xia, it's very dirty there. In Ellie's view, Dao Xia must have been loved since childhood. Doing this kind of thing must be unfamiliar to her. Little did she know, Dao Xia's early life was the opposite of her glamorous appearance. Humiliation and degradation had accompanied her growing up. After Dao Xia left, Ellie decided to prepare to evolve Kandel again. Kandel, taking off his clothes, revealed 32 abs underneath. As most of the curse on his body had been removed, the gleaming muscles made Ellie blush. Ellie, is your body really okay? However, Ellie had no mind to care about this now. The two who were inseparable during the day now felt as awkward as if meeting for the first time. As Ellie gently caressed Kandel's body, the last trace of the curse on his upper body was finally dispelled. Kandel, the curse on your upper body has finished evolving. Looking at his intact body, Kandel could hardly believe it. Ellie, I really can't thank you enough. Kandel, it's too early to thank me, because I'm about to completely evolve you clean. The lower body evolution is also about to... Oh wait, they suddenly seemed to realize something. When Ellie finished evolving Kandel's upper body, she finally remembered his unevolved lower body. For a moment, both of them stood there, faces flushed red. After all, previous evolutions required him to take off his clothes. Doesn't this mean that the next evolution will take a long time? Let's rest for now. We still have time. We'll confirm it next time. At this moment, Kandel shyly lowered his head. Actually, that area is fine. Though Kandel's voice was soft, it sounded deafening to Ellie. I'm afraid you'll misunderstand. So Kandel, please don't explain anymore. Such a humanized curse was unexpected for Ellie. To avoid curling her toes in embarrassment, this time it was Ellie who fled the scene. Back in her room, Ellie recalled the events of today. Whether it was Kandel coming to rescue her, or Dao Xia treating her, or Joel and Annie who tipped her off, they were all important people in her life. But in the first half of her life, she had foolishly devoted herself to her family. If it weren't for her terminal illness, she probably wouldn't have met Kandel, nor would she have seen someone show jealousy because of her. These attachments made Ellie even more afraid of separation. However, in Ellie's view, Kandel didn't seem to love her that crazily. So even if she died, he should be able to live on well. After all, they were only lovers for a 3-month period. At this moment, thunder outside the window startled Ellie. She seemed to see Blanche's figure again, watching her raise her palm with each thunderclap. One after another, thunder roared, making this figure in Ellie's mind gradually clearer. To escape, she ran barefoot down the corridor. The only person who could save her now was Kandel. Looking at the still-shaken Ellie, Kandel asked worriedly, "What's wrong?" "Ellie, it's cold outside. Come in first." Trembling all over, Ellie sat on the sofa without a word. "Do you want a cup of tea? Or are you feeling unwell somewhere?" "No, I'm just afraid of the sound of thunder. More than the thunder, I think I'm more afraid of being alone." At this moment, a deafening sound rang out again outside the window. Instinctively, Ellie threw herself into Kandel's arms. Although she was still trembling all over in Kandel's embrace, the thunder seemed to become less frightening. Looking at Ellie in his arms, it also reminded Kandel of some past events he feared. It could be said that the two were more like seeking redemption from each other. "Can I sleep here tonight? I'll just hold your hand." Seeing Kandel hesitate to respond, Ellie felt a bit disappointed. "Is it not allowed?" "Never mind, I'll sleep by myself then." Just as Ellie was about to turn and leave, even the thunder outside seemed unable to bear it. Kandel suddenly pulled Ellie close. "Tonight, you can sleep in my room." Although they had plenty of physical contact, this was their first time sharing a bed, so Ellie made sure to remind him, "I really won't do anything. Don't be afraid. Just relax. I'm not afraid of you, kid. I can tell if you're scared or not with one look." "Hey, Ellie, don't do that." Candel blushed and covered his chest, afraid that Ellie might devour him if he wasn't careful. However, the more he acted like this, the more excited Ellie became. "Ellie, please stop teasing." Suddenly, Candel grabbed her hand. His tone became serious. "Ellie, don't make me do something to you. Please." The thunder outside roared again. Seeing Ellie's frightened expression, Candel fell into deep thought. Was she just trying to suppress her own fear earlier? Realizing this, Candel tightly held Ellie's hand. This time, he took the initiative to move closer to Ellie, embracing her and softly comforting the trembling Ellie. The thunder thus became the strongest wingman tonight. Meanwhile, at Duke Blanche's mansion, Ron, who was severely injured, still couldn't receive treatment from a cleric. Every time they contacted, they were told there were no clerics available. The last time Candel came to the Duke's mansion, Ron just made eye contact with Candel's subordinate, and he was so scared that he tumbled down the stairs. His injuries hadn't healed, and now he had a broken leg too. If that guy Ellie were here, he could have treated him. After much consideration, Blanche decided to go to the temple himself. In the majestic and imposing temple, Blanche brought his limping son, grumbling, "There are dozens of clerics. Why won't they treat him? Who dares to make such a commotion in the Altion temple?" Looking at Blanche before him, Dao Xia secretly rejoiced. "Finally, it's my turn." Blanche was quite obedient in front of Dao Xia. But Ron wouldn't be so compliant. "My son needs treatment. I was just anxious." This was actually because Dao Xia had ordered the clerics not to go to his house. "It seems my subordinates made a mistake. To express my apologies, I'll personally treat him." Hearing this, Blanche was overjoyed. If he could establish a connection with Dao Xia, wouldn't it be easy to regain his former glory? After the two entered the treatment room, Dao Xia locked the door. "How did you get injured?" "I missed a step." In the next moment, Dao Xia stepped in front of Ron, grabbing his hand. "Is this wound also from that?" Looking at the bite mark on his hand, Dao Xia fell into thought. "I didn't expect Ellie's bite mark to be so cute." His actions made Ron furious with embarrassment. "I'm sorry. I'll treat you right away." Although it was a bite mark, it shouldn't remain on his body. So after a flash of golden light, he only healed Ron's hand. Seeing Dao Xia, who had been rude to him earlier, made Ron very upset. "Everyone's been saying you're the son of a street prostitute. You think that's just a baseless rumor? Shallow fool." Hearing this, Dao Xia couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore. "Duke Candel was too gentle with you. For someone as presumptuous as you, he just left after beating you like this? He should have at least crippled your limbs. He's really too soft-hearted." Upon hearing this, Ron raised his fist and swung at Dao Xia. Not only did he miss, but he also fell flat on his face. Seeing Ron's surprised expression, Dao Xia sneered. "With such weak moves, who are you trying to hit?" Suddenly, Ron felt dizzy. Dao Xia seemed to have anticipated this. "Feeling dizzy now, aren't you?" At this moment, Ron was completely panicked. "I just tangled your spiritual energy circuits together. If left untreated, you'll die from energy overload in a few months." "How does it feel?" "Interesting, isn't it? Unless someone stronger than me comes along, no one can cure you. What should I do?" Ron had lost all his previous arrogance. Dao Xia gently stroked his head. "If you dare to lay a hand on Ellie again, that will be the day you die." Meanwhile, Ellie, who had woken up in bed, was drooling and staring intently at the person beside her. Is this a blessing from God? Waking up to see such a handsome face. She had added another masterpiece to her world gallery. "You look very tired. Did you not sleep well last night? Did you only sleep for an hour or two?" "No, Sisi." This guy was so excited he didn't sleep all night. "Ellie, what are you doing today?" "Well, I'm going to see Dao Xia." Ellie's appearance in her pajamas made Candel forget to be jealous for a moment. "All right, come back soon. After I find Dao Xia, I want to sleep with you again." After a brief silence from Candel, he was so startled by her words that he didn't know how to react. Seeing his flustered state, Ellie burst into laughter. "I'm just kidding. Were you actually looking forward to sleeping with me?" However, what Ellie didn't know was that Candel hadn't slept all night because of her incredibly outrageous sleeping posture. As Candel walked out of the room, he ran into the teary-eyed butler. "Master, I always believed this day would come." The old man was even more excited than the two who had shared a bed. At this moment in the butler's mind, he was already envisioning Candel and Ellie's wedding. "I should ask Ellie what kind of wedding dress she likes." His endless chatter was about to overwhelm Candel. Fortunately, Candel stopped him in time. "Stop, don't say any more. Why won't you let me speak? There's so much to do now. Marriage is a lifelong commitment. We can't overlook any details. But this made Candell fall into deep thought. Is it really possible for me? Someone like him shouldn't have such extravagant hopes. But this figure who had broken through his darkness made him truly feel some anticipation. After all, Candell had indeed fantasized about himself in a suit, holding her hand, vowing to be together forever at their wedding. But it was too early to think about that now. I don't have any plans to get married at the moment. These words shocked the butler. But you two have already shared a room. I didn't do anything that requires taking responsibility. This dashed the butler's hopes. Perhaps it was because Candell had spent years on the battlefield and wasn't yet attuned to matters of the heart. As the butler was at a loss, he smiled mischievously, still charming despite his age. Looks like I'll have to take matters into my own hands. Ellie, who went to see Dao Xia today, hadn't actually informed him in advance. The temple's priest asked Ellie about her purpose for coming. I'm here to see my friend. He's a lower-level priest. What's his name? He's called Dao Xia. This confused the child. Seeing the child's lack of understanding, Ellie continued to explain. He's the handsome guy with silver hair. Fortunately, Dao Xia's subordinate appeared just in time. The lavish decorations made Ellie realize this couldn't be a lower-level priest's room. Panting, Dao Xia pushed open the door. Why didn't you contact me in advance? He had just hurriedly changed his clothes. I deliberately didn't contact you. Surprised you, didn't I? Indeed, you gave me quite a scare. So what brings you here? I'm here to thank you for treating me, and I also have a favor to ask. Hearing the word favor made Dao Xia feel a bit disappointed. Is this woman only being nice to me because she needs something? Please teach me how to control magic. Ellie's words left Dao Xia confused. But I'm a priest. Divine power and magic are essentially similar. I have a lot of spiritual energy, but I haven't learned systematically. I can't control it precisely. To prevent what happened before from happening again, Ellie wanted to be able to handle things on her own, and I only trust you, so I can only ask you for help. Dao Xia smiled with interest. Of course I can, if I agree to your request. Ellie, can you also agree to my request? No matter what I ask. Just as Dao Xia looked expectant, Ellie said something surprising. Agreeing to anything you ask would be a fraudulent contract. What if you asked me to write with my butt or sing and dance on the street? Hearing this, even the usually composed Dao Xia couldn't keep a straight face. All right, the contract should indeed be clear. Then, as long as it's not against your will, agree to my request. It's up to your conscience. This level should be fine, right? Okay, we have an agreement. Just as Ellie was about to start learning magic, someone interrupted Dao Xia. Someone's looking for you. This displeased Dao Xia greatly. He just gave a glance, which scared the other person into a cold sweat. It seemed difficult to apologize today. It's okay, we can do it next time. I'll come find you soon. After saying this, Dao Xia nodded to the red-haired person beside him. I'm done with the room, senior. Hearing this, he stood there pondering life. After seeing Ellie off, Dao Xia turned and asked, Is it that old man again? Yes, High Priest Heber Paru is looking for you. It seems the current pope isn't feeling well. This old guy is worried I'll become pope and is here to restrain me. Returning home, Ellie immediately threw herself into Candell's arms. And Candell's boring day ended at that moment. Just as the two were gazing at each other lovingly, the butler suddenly spoke up. Miss, I'm very sorry. I asked the new maid to wash the blankets, but they soaked all of them. Now only the master's blanket is good. Can we just go out and buy new ones? However, the butler already had a plan. We've looked everywhere. They're all poor quality. The good ones won't arrive for a few days. We can't let the young lady use bad ones. I don't mind. But Candell had already seen through his scheme. Just give her mine. Seeing things weren't going as planned, the butler quickly changed tactics. Then, miss, could you spend another night with the master? That's right. Candell was about to say something, but Ellie interrupted. What's wrong? Don't you want to sleep with me? How could that be? It's just, Ellie didn't give him a chance to continue. Don't worry. I promise I won't do anything to you like last night. After dinner, Candell anxiously waited in the room. The sound of the door opening caught his attention. Ellie entered the room wearing a black long dress. She held up a cake. Candell, I brought you a special gift. Do you like cream cake? Candell, who never ate cake, nodded and said he liked it. Then Candell cut a piece of the cake. He turned and fed it to Ellie beside him. Ellie noticed cream stuck to the corner of her mouth. However, worried Candell might run away, she decided not to play any tricks this time. Unexpectedly, Candel's hand suddenly reached out to her. Didn't you say this is something lovers should wipe off? This man, he finally got the script right. From a lovesick nice guy begging not to mess around. After countless training sessions by Ellie, he had grown. He had completely turned into a big wolf dog on the offensive. After Candel fed her, Ellie's mouth was smeared with cream, just like last time. But to prevent Candel from escaping, she decided not to play any tricks this time. However, this time it was beyond Ellie's expectations. Didn't you say this is something lovers should wipe off? Before Ellie could react, Candel had already sealed her lips with his. That wild look in his eyes seemed determined to devour her completely. The overflowing desire made even Ellie a bit scared. I am done. I'm full. Candel's hand covered her lips. Wait, I'm still hungry. Ellie tried to resist by grabbing his clothes, but his strong hands left her no choice but to surrender. Just as things were about to get out of control, Ellie managed to break away from his lips with difficulty. Her rapid breathing made Candel let her go. Ellie, blushing, panted heavily. Candel's actions tonight took her by surprise. Candel looked at her and softly said, I'm full now. This made Ellie jump up from the sofa. How did this guy suddenly become so naughty? Then she shyly flopped onto the bed with a thud. I need to complete your evolution quickly. Candel asked what she wanted to do after his evolution, but Ellie didn't answer him. Looking at his sleeping lover, Candel felt that as long as she was by his side, he could resist his ugly desires and possessiveness. But just as he thought this, Ellie rolled over and clung to him like an octopus. The attack of the big white rabbit kept hitting him. The thought he had to resist earlier. He wanted to pull away, but that would wake Ellie up, so he could only bend his waist backward. But unexpectedly, Ellie became even more uninhibited in her sleep, to the point where even the hand covering his face turned red. As expected, morning came, and Ellie woke up full of energy. In contrast, Candel seemed to have had all his energy drained. At this time, they received a notice from the butler that it had rained heavily in the morning, and the blankets were soaked. It looks like you'll have to sleep in this room for a few more days. This continued until the fourth day, when Candel finally passed out. This time, it was Ellie who couldn't sleep. Even when asleep, he looks so handsome. He's truly a national treasure. But at this moment, Candel suddenly called out his mother's name. Hearing this, Ellie remembered the rumors about Candel. It was said that when she was very young, the Duke and Duchess had passed away. The family's wealth and honor were taken by distant relatives. She then wandered the battlefield with a cursed body. Faced with Candel's tragic past, all Ellie could do now was to purify her body and soul. She hoped that in her short remaining life, she could help Candel live like a normal person. Even if she left in the end, Candel could continue to be happy. But suddenly, Ellie's hand was grabbed. Candel looked at Ellie in panic, afraid she might run away. What did you just say? Did you say you were leaving? Looking at her anxious eyes, Ellie tried to stay calm. Where would I go? Where could I possibly go? I thought I heard you say you were leaving. Be good, where could I go? With Ellie's reassurance, Candel finally calmed down. With 1 month left on the contract, she didn't want to part with him either. Fortunately, Candel only liked her, not loved her. Stay with me forever. Okay, I will. At least until the contract ends, she would stay. When the morning sun rose again, Candel had finally slept well. Ellie, lying behind him, mumbled, looking at your current state, we might be able to start evolving your lower body. Hearing the call, little elephant brother unconsciously raised its trunk. Let's save the next evolution for next time. I'm going to see Madame Charbet. Candel remembered. The warrior was calm. It had been difficult to stay with Ellie lately, but Ellie dispelled his doubts. From now on, let's do everything together. Although worried that Ellie might make strange requests, he still nodded with anticipation. Ellie went to see Madame Charbet, secretly protected by Gerald. As an elite of the Empire, now she had to follow Ellie around all day. Meanwhile, Ellie discovered there was another person in the clothing store. The next second, the person pulled open the curtain. Long time no see, Miss Blanche. They thought the appearance of the blonde would add to Ellie's harem. Who knew this person could only be Ellie's good sister? It turned out that this short-haired youth before them was actually Princess Elgar, famous for her natural beauty. She was once engaged to Ron. Of course, that was before the Blanche family fell from grace. But with Ron's personality, they barely exchanged a few words, and the princess already despised him. This engagement was broken off after Ron was sent flying several dozen meters. Ellie hadn't seen her for 5 years since then, but the changes in these 5 years were truly unexpected. Miss Blanche, you've changed a lot. Speaking of who changed more, Ellie probably didn't have a say in this. Please call me Ellie from now on. And Ellie's is Elgar. She suddenly moved closer, gently caressing Ellie's earlobe. Of course, Ellie, you can call me Elgar too. Her radiant face made it impossible for Ellie to refuse. But as soon as she returned to the carriage, Ellie regretted it. There was only 1 month left. Why was she still making promises to others? Ellie's expression turned gloomy. Why did good things keep happening when her death was approaching? To make herself less attached when she had to leave, Ellie decided not to deepen her relationships with them. Suddenly, the sound of the carriage door opening startled Ellie. Ellie, why aren't you coming down yet? Holding Ellie's hand, they strolled through the forest. Today was the day she would teach Ellie magic. This is the place with the best air and how. The spiritual energy is clean and flows quickly. It's the best place to practice magic. Use magic as you usually would. Under Daoxia's guidance, a magic circle lit up beneath Ellie, and dozens of vines sprang from the ground. Daoxia quickly discovered her problem. This time, apply spiritual energy to my body. Feel carefully how the energy works. Under the pretext of magic, Daoxia took the opportunity to touch Ellie's hand. Unexpectedly, Ellie quickly grasped the method, but suddenly, vines grew from beneath Daoxia's feet. Daoxia, be careful. Without hesitation, Ellie immediately lunged towards her. Seeing the panicked Ellie before her, Daoxia was very confused, knowing that she was stronger than Ellie. Why would this woman still rush forward without regard for her own safety? Ellie in Daoxia's arms spoke with a trembling voice, but her words were for Daoxia. Don't be afraid, nothing will happen. This made Daoxia, who was holding Ellie, even more perplexed. Her kindness seemed to exist for the sake of others. The safety of others always came before her own. At this moment, Ellie's vines had grown into towering trees. Sunlight filtered through the dense leaves, falling on these two people with vastly different hearts. Daoxia, I think I'm a genius. Seeing Daoxia's ears turn red, Ellie suddenly seemed to realize something too. The two tacitly changed the subject. Although I taught you how to use magic, don't you even know the attack range? Daoxia instantly switched to teacher mode, patiently instructing. Yes, teacher. I'll leave it to you then. After a day of training, Ellie made great progress in controlling magic. Her talent surprised even Daoxia. It's just that she found it strange. She didn't know since when, but every time she saw her lover, she could hear her heart pounding. Could it be because of her talent that she became interested in her? Logically, she should have been bored by now, and Daoxia wanted to spend more time with her. Couldn't help but ask, have you heard that 174 is holding a festival? There will be a flower festival and a masquerade ball. It's perfect for us too. And it was just right, as she didn't know where to go on a date with Candel. Thank you so much. Daoxia, it's my blessing to be friends with you. Daoxia never expected that not only did her plan fail, but she was also deeply hurt by the word friend. Meanwhile, in the Duke's mansion, Candel, left alone, was feeling a bit upset. I heard some good news. Candel, I heard 174 is holding a flower festival. Let's go together tomorrow. But my curse. Seeing Candel hesitate, Ellie asked, when will we be able to go? She then suddenly pulled open his shirt. This sudden action startled Candel. See, Candel? Your upper body doesn't have any curse marks anymore. I won't force you too much. We can just go to the night market later, and we'll wear masks the whole time. So, will you come with me? With Ellie saying all this, how could Candel refuse? After carefully selecting their outfits, Ellie appeared on the busiest street of Isis. Her excitement was in stark contrast to Candel's nervousness, but the fact that he could come out was already a success. This made Candel realize that the gazes of people around were different from before. No longer fear and disgust, but envy and blessings. With his excited heartbeat mixed with the surrounding noise, Candel found it hard to express his feelings. He could only thank this girl with a kiss for everything she had done for him. What are you doing in public? Candel's action left Ellie flustered. Unfortunately, every time Ellie hit him, it was like hitting the floor, so she had to find another way to punish him. Candel decided to ignore her for now. How did this guy become so smooth? He wasn't like this before. After walking for 3 seconds, Ellie felt it was about time to forgive Candel. But when she turned around, she found other women talking to Candel. Candel was surprised to see the woman in front of him. She wasn't afraid of him at all, but he quickly came to his senses and started looking for Ellie in the crowd. However, when Ellie saw this scene, it made her flee the scene in embarrassment. If she left, Candel would fall in love with another woman. Although she had always known it would be like this, her heart was conflicted, not wanting to part with him. Panting, Ellie tried to clear her mind. Wasn't Candel finding his own happiness exactly what she wanted? Just then, a figure appeared behind Ellie. "Miss, are you feeling unwell? Have some of this." Worried that Ellie might have concerns, the man deliberately tasted it himself first. Ellie, taking off her mask, thanked him for his kindness. But the man was instantly captivated by Ellie's appearance. "I think I've fallen in love with you at first sight." But Ellie specifically emphasized that she already had a lover. The man, hearing this, was unfazed. "I heard this is a common tactic used by city people to reject others. It seems I was rude earlier. Even if rejected, I should formally confess once in the capital style. I'm deeply enchanted by your beautiful face. Miss, please go out with me." This cliché confession made Ellie's skin crawl. However, before she could refuse, two sharp swords clashed in the air. Surprisingly, the man had blocked the arrow Candel shot. "You bastard, do you have a death wish? I don't want to die. Are you her lover?" The man leaned in for a closer look. "It seems I'm more handsome. What nonsense are you spouting now?" Ellie cast a spell as she spoke. "Get your sword away from my lover right now." The man, being sensible, apologized. "I'm sorry. I didn't know he was your lover. I thought you were lying. Whether it's true or not, a rejection is a rejection. And you arrogant llama." Seeing Ellie's fierce demeanor, the man smiled slightly. "I really did fall for you at first sight. What a pity." Watching Ellie fiercely protect him, Candel hugged her from behind. He spoke with a hint of grievance. "Ellie, why did you leave me alone earlier?" Candel recalled the earlier scene with lingering fear. If Ellie had really accepted her confession, he might have. "Sorry, I was just wandering around and got lost. Thank you for coming to find me. Have you been waiting for me all this time?" "Of course, I was dying to see you." Hearing this, Candel's anxious heart finally settled. Ellie turned around in his arms and looked back at the bustling market. "It seems it's time for the ball. Let's go dancing." Suddenly, Ellie remembered their masks seemed to be missing. "If you're tired, we can just go home." Unexpectedly, Candel replied without hesitation, "I'm not tired. But this way, you'll definitely stand out." "It's okay. I have you, don't I?" Accompanied by blooming fireworks, everyone put on masks tonight and danced gracefully. Only Candel took off the mask he had always worn. "Candel, let's dance together." This familiar scene, one time was love at first sight, the other time was redemption from the heart. Candel never thought he would see this day. The smell of rotting corpses, mixed with people's disgusted and terrified gazes, allowed this outcast to be integrated into a new life. This girl who gave him hope and light. Even a monster like him could mingle with the crowd and dance together. Even though he danced quite awkwardly, he still found it adorable. How could he not love a girl like this? "Candel, I like you." Hearing Ellie's passionate confession, Candel responded to her. "I like you too." The fireworks seemed to understand the lovers' heartbeats, blooming at the most appropriate moment. "Put it on you." But I try to put it on my side. Against the backdrop of brilliant fireworks, two hearts finally merged into one. As Candel became increasingly bold, Ellie decided to punish him by temporarily banning kisses. But who knew that after a few days without kissing, this guy would come up with something big? Under the fireworks, the two made a grand confession. Ellie blocked Candel's approaching lips. "We're still outside." But this guy was so hungry he'd kiss Ellie anywhere. Seeing Candel's greedy gaze, Ellie blushed. "What are you doing, you?" Little did she know she had done the same thing before. "Don't you like it?" "It's not that I don't like it." "Then can I kiss your lips this time?" Ellie should have been happy, but now she felt manipulated and at a disadvantage. However, he wasn't going to back down. "Candel, you have to come with me." Hearing this, Candel's previous composure vanished into thin air. "You don't even have this level of awareness, yet you want to kiss me? How thick-skinned." From Candel's stammering, it was clear. Ellie had gained the upper hand again. "To punish you for your recklessness, kissing is forbidden for a while." The next day, Candel looked at Ellie expectantly. "Not today." Ellie, rolling on the sofa, feigned ignorance. "What's not today?" "You know, the thing we do every day. The thing that makes you feel uncomfortable if you don't do it for a day." Finally, Candel covered his blushing face. "I mean kissing." No kissing today. Didn't I say I was going to punish you yesterday?" "You forgot so quickly." "Are you serious?" "Very serious." Seeing Ellie's determination, Candel resorted to his usual trick. "Really, we can't kiss?" The sudden closeness made Ellie lose her composure for a moment. But fortunately, her resolve was firm. "No using your charms." Seeing Candel's dejected look, Ellie felt a secret thrill. She never thought seeing Candel beg would be so exciting. A few hours later, Dasha, who was tutoring magic, looked puzzled. You seem very happy today. Thanks to your recommendation, our date was very successful. Hearing this, Dasha regretted asking the question. But I met a strange person at the festival yesterday. A Western man suddenly confessed to me, said something about love at first sight. You know, I'm a bit cute, aren't I? Unfortunately, Ellie's joke didn't lighten the mood. Instead, it caused a pang in Dasha's heart. Why did he feel irritated when man approached Ellie? That's right, Ellie, you're too cute. So, cute lady, are you planning to blow this place to smithereens today too? Also, we're not studying magic today. Today we're learning practical combat. Hearing this, Ellie immediately perked up. What's the first step? Attack or escape? Today we're learning how to kill. Dasha tightly gripped his hand and placed it on his chest. If you use magic at this position, it will definitely be fatal. Dasha, what are you doing? Seeing Ellie like this, Dasha was very satisfied. Come on, Ellie, kill me. This kind of joke isn't funny at all. After saying this, she pushed Dasha in front of her away. She didn't understand why Dasha treated life so lightly. She wanted to live, yet her time was running out. Seeing Ellie's dejection, Dasha asked, Miss, what do you think practical combat is? Is it being able to travel alone? Miss, the bustling streets aren't so friendly. There, you'll immediately become a target for those domineering, bullying types. Ellie, remember this. If you're not prepared to kill, you might be the one who ends up dead. Ellie recalled her previous experiences. What Dasha said was indeed correct. Thank you for your advice. Although Dasha could easily save her just by touching her neck, he still didn't want Ellie to be in dangerous situations. After all, his kindness was evident to everyone. Do you want to try again? Prepare to kill me. But Ellie still shook her head in refusal. If I get hurt, can't you just heal me? But if you get hurt, it will hurt Ellie. Her words gave him that indescribable feeling again. He really disliked this strange emotion. No more time for unnecessary worries. This time, you try to block me. Faced with the flying fan, Ellie had no time to react and dodge. So for each subsequent attack, Ellie caught them steadily. This made even the usually good-tempered Ellie a bit annoyed. She finally started to take it seriously, but the result wasn't much use. Is your magic just for decoration? Ellie then remembered she could use magic. To avoid hurting Dasha, Ellie tried her best to control her spiritual energy. Light, shadow, and water intertwined, gushing out around Dasha. I prefer warm water for bathing. Let's skip this. The water magic Ellie used to attack Dasha ended up making herself soaking wet, but this also ignited her fighting spirit. When she returned home in the evening, she was exhausted. She had to crawl on the floor to reach the bedroom. Today, I should be able to purify Candel's lower body. But direct skin contact made Ellie hesitate. Suddenly, Ellie had an idea. She could just purify through her legs. Meanwhile, Candel was going crazy from not being able to kiss. Ellie's sudden appearance startled him. Looking at Candel in his bathrobe, Ellie couldn't help but step closer to him. We're too close. Then let's get even closer. Then Ellie pushed him down. Let's start the evolution now. This time, I'll start from the knees. Faced with Ellie's approach, Candel could only keep backing up in the small space. Suddenly, Ellie became serious. This is the only way to evolve, so please take it seriously. Although Candel was still a bit shy, he no longer resisted. With Dasha's guidance, Ellie's magic became much easier to cast. The speed was also much faster than before. The evolution is over. Candel suddenly, Ellie's eyes widened in surprise, because Candel in front of her seemed to have triggered some switch. The tent was set up in an instant. The atmosphere between them now could be described as extremely awkward. Watching Candel slowly approach, Ellie turned her head away. Wasn't kissing forbidden? But Candel forcefully turned her head back. In this state, she was no longer in control, and she felt like she had opened the door to a new world. Candel began to escalate things. I'm not blindly kissing you without preparation now. If that's the case, can we continue? Heavy breathing and heartbeats. As they resonated, Ellie gradually stopped resisting. Instead, she actively embraced Candel, and he understood kissing Ellie. Desire overflowed from Ellie's eyes, her thoughts as messy as her scattered hair. Ellie, you're so beautiful. But as Candel was about to take off his shirt, he fell into a whirlpool of self-doubt again. But this time, he couldn't afford to think too much. Candel, you're beautiful. Every part of you is. The two, understanding each other's hearts, naturally knew what the other was thinking. Candel's hesitation vanished. This girl who saved him, he wanted to offer everything tonight to thank her. The next day, Ellie felt like she had aged decades. In contrast, Candel was full of energy, glowing with vitality. As Ellie was sighing, Candel cautiously asked, "It's still early. I think we can, but I'll die if we do that. Just one more time, Ellie." Seeing Candel's pitiful pleading look, Ellie hesitated for a moment. Finally, she could only sigh. "Gosh, how can this guy have so much energy?" "All right, you said it. Just this once." With Candel, this guy doesn't listen. Originally, she had planned to meet Elgar in the morning, now arriving late in the afternoon. "Thank you, princess, for inviting me to the tea party. Ellie, you should call me Elgar." "All right, Elgar." His hand affectionately stroked Ellie's forehead. "Good girl." This smile, along with his captivating gaze, made Ellie's heart flutter again, which was rare. "My good friends often gather here. They are all very kind people." Hearing this, Ellie couldn't help but feel nervous. "I hope they'll like me." Elgar seemed to notice her worry. "Who wouldn't like you?" Unexpectedly, the second heart flutter came so quickly. The other tea party attendees had been waiting here for a long time. Shar, the innkeeper's daughter, Countess Osmond, and Shalia, who looked a bit prickly. Since Ellie had left the Blanche family, she didn't mention her surname. This surprised Shalia greatly. "You don't have a title? Are you a commoner?" "But how does a mere commoner know Lord Elgar?" Two men with completely different personalities, yet they had the same double standard when facing Ellie and others. Just now, Ellie had made new friends through Elgar, including this snobbish Shalia. "Milch and Ellie, tell me, how does a commoner know Lord Elgar?" Her simple question ruined the entire atmosphere of the tea party. Osmond was the first to speak up. "Miss Milchin, please mind your words." Hearing this, Milchin acted as if she had been greatly wronged. "I'm new to social circles. If I offended you, I'm sorry." "It's all right. It's easy to misunderstand." The small incident at the tea party was quickly dissolved by laughter. However, as everyone was leaving, Osmond specifically approached Ellie. "Although it's not my style to gossip behind others' backs, Milchin has only been playing with us for a few weeks. Her debut ball was very difficult to organize. Elgar brought her here out of pity. You'll be more comfortable keeping some distance from her. Of course, it still depends on your own judgment." Just as Ellie was about to respond, a familiar voice called out, "Ellie, I'm here." Candel walked towards her excitedly. His obedient demeanor with his head lowered was like a puppy waiting for Ellie to pet him. This scene shocked the four people present. Is this still the Empire's Demon Duke? Candel also noticed their presence and gave them a friendly glance. Under their stunned gaze, Ellie and Candel got into the carriage. However, Candel had to go to the Imperial City soon. "I want to stay with you a bit longer." Suddenly, Candel stared at Ellie and coughed lightly twice. His blushing face might as well have "I want to cuddle with you" written on it. His shy demeanor made Ellie's heart race. So she took the initiative and made the first move. But when faced with Candel's counterattack, Ellie instantly found herself at a disadvantage. Her earlier composure dissipated as Candel drew closer. What are you planning to do? You don't even have the final realization, yet you dare to kiss me first? You need some punishment." This devilish smile directly made Ellie swoon. With Candel's looks, conquering the palace or even the entire empire wouldn't be a problem. At this moment, the little figure in Ellie's mind came out to cause mischief. The carriage seems like a good place too. Of course, at this time, there's always an insensitive coachman to interrupt Ellie. She jumped out of the carriage with relief. Watching Ellie flee in embarrassment, Candel sat in the carriage laughing loudly. Little did he know he had done the same thing before. Ellie said, "If you're always like this when I come home, I'll sleep in a separate room." Meanwhile, in the bustling market street, Dasha tied up her ponytail, standing out in the center of the crowd. Ellie, who arrived panting, also noticed her outfit today. The ordinary white shirt, after Dasha's styling, instantly became the Empire's most fashionable item. Indeed, everything is about looks. Today, Dasha was going to teach Ellie invisibility magic. This delighted the child immensely. "Teacher Dasha is so great. You're the best." Even though it was just a few short words from Ellie, it made Dasha feel dazed again. Even she herself couldn't understand the current situation. Today's learning goal was to hide one's presence in a crowd, making it impossible for anyone to sense your existence. After Dasha's careful guidance, Ellie activated the magic. As the purple aura spread, she also grabbed Dasha's hand. "Dasha, is this right?" The surrounding noise seemed to fade away at this moment. Or perhaps, Dasha could only hear Ellie's voice now. What Ellie didn't know was that the person in front of her, just a few hours ago, when danger approached, Ellie had appeared again, risking her life. At that moment, Dasha finally faced the feeling she had been resisting for so long. A few hours earlier, Dasha was in a ruined area of the Empire. At that moment, she had none of the gentleness she showed when meeting Ellie. Facing several assassins attacking from behind, Dasha calmly spoke. Today was supposed to be a happy day. Do you really have to ruin it like this? As her words faded, Dasha raised her hand. After a few screams, blood splattered all over Dasha. This bloody scene seemed commonplace to her. In the pool of blood, she saw Ellie. If she were to see her in this state, she would probably stay away from her. She never thought she would go this far for a woman. This girl, who was initially very unfamiliar, somehow gradually piqued her interest. She despised the emotion of love. But she, who didn't want to develop such feelings, now faced with Ellie's outstretched hand. Along with her smile and voice, all resistance was suddenly thrown to the back of her mind. Being both Altean's priestess and the next pope, her power was no less than the emperor's. But behind this glamorous facade, few knew her past. She wanted to express her feelings to Ellie, but feared Ellie would know about her humble origins. After all, if she knew, she would surely despise her. Just as Dasha's thoughts were racing, a figure appearing behind interrupted her. Twice in one day is really annoying. Then she turned her head to look at Ellie. I have something to buy. Can you come back later? Go ahead. I'll practice well. Actually, Dasha wasn't worried. Ellie was alone in the shadows, with a knight protecting her. Dasha, blending into the crowd, stopped in a dark alley. Your life is valuable, you know? Looking at the newcomer's appearance, Dasha only felt that assassin standards were getting lower. After a farewell, the assassin raised his dagger towards Dasha and leaped. In a fleeting moment, Dasha pondered how to dispose of him. But unexpectedly, as the dagger was about to strike, Ellie called out her name, appearing in Dasha's shocked expression. Ellie cast a spell flying towards the assassin. After a purple lightning flashed, the opponent instantly fell silent. Seeing Ellie's anxious expression, unexpected surprise and joy filled her heart. Are you hurt anywhere? You must be scared. Looking at the trembling hands, this delicate noble lady, a woman who couldn't even harm others, had killed for her. In the midst of the bloody scent, Dasha finally stopped resisting her inner feelings. At this moment, she completely fell in love with this woman. When there was less than a month left until death, Ellie finally woke up from her beautiful dream. Just now, Ellie had killed for the first time for Dasha. The pervasive smell of blood made her tremble, but her words were all about comforting Dasha. Her appearance made Dasha finally face her inner feelings. But she suddenly recalled that someone had made her fall like this before. But thinking about the final result, Dasha instantly sobered up. This made her feel ashamed for believing in love just now. As Dasha's golden light spread out, healing Ellie's wounds, Dasha's emotions also returned to normal. Thank you for saving me. Thanks to you, I survived. Let's go back for today. Looking at Ellie, who still hadn't come to her senses, Dasha spoke solemnly this time. That guy just now came to kill me. An assassin. It's because of our family's minds. So miss, don't worry. Assassins are meant to die anyway. Seeing Dasha like this, Ellie was very concerned. How hard it must be for someone so delicate and beautiful. However, after Dasha's comforting words, Ellie's emotions calmed down considerably. Thank you, Dasha. Take care of yourself. As Ellie reached out her hand, Dasha's heart began to race again. She wanted to reach out and touch Ellie, but in the end, she pulled back. Now, even the slightest contact with Ellie would make her heart flutter. She could only silently pray now. Before she couldn't resist pursuing her, Ellie could completely escape from her side. Inside the Duke's mansion, Candel had been waiting for a long time. When she saw Candel, Ellie immediately put on a smile. She couldn't let Candel worry. She was already busy enough. But her micro-expressions and the smell of blood on her body couldn't escape Sherlock Candel's eyes. Ellie was relieved. Her lie was exposed before she even had a chance to make it up. Fortunately, Ellie was too lazy to lie. She directly hugged Candel's arm and forcefully changed the subject. At this time, Candel glanced back at Gerard in the woods, indicating something had happened. If Ellie didn't want to tell her, it was completely fine, but she couldn't do nothing about it. In the room, there was a cake celebrating 50 days, which was made by the head of the CP fan club. Thank you, Holstein. This butler had made marriage his catchphrase. Whenever he saw Candel, he would trigger a silent recitation. But at this moment, Ellie's smile froze at the corner of her mouth. 50 days have already passed. Adding the days before she knew Candel, there was less than a month left. Recalling what the doctor said, before the terminal illness, her heartbeat would gradually accelerate. This had indeed been happening frequently lately, and the final result would be death by body explosion. Ellie didn't want to die in front of Candel. She didn't want her to see her explode. Ellie knew it was time to consider leaving. But before leaving, she wanted to keep smiling in every moment with Candel. At night, as Ellie lay in bed, she replayed the events of the past month in her mind. Candel's body was about to finish evolving. His psychological trauma also seemed much better. Time was running out. Everything else could be given up, but she at least wanted to complete the last item on her wish list, to go on a trip with Candel. After the trip, she would just have to endure what came next. After all, she was already used to it. The tea-dress girl not only took away Ellie's gift, but who knew she would then set her sights on Ellie's Candel. Just now, the owner of Sherbet who attended the tea party brought gifts from the Eastern continent for everyone. They were hair ties matching each person's hair color. But Milchin, who received a gift, wasn't too happy. She glanced at Ellie's hair tie intentionally. Actually, I like pink. Look, my pupils are also a beautiful pink color. This scene felt familiar to Ellie. When she was young, anything that belonged to her would always be taken away by Rune. If you want it, let's just swap. Even the others nearby couldn't bear to watch this scene. But Milchin, who got the gift, completely ignored their expressions. Elgar and Sherbet quietly asked, "Are you really okay with this?" "It's fine." They seemed to see Ellie's carefree smile. Milchin felt this wasn't enough. "By the way, Ellie, what's your relationship with Duke Candel? Are you dating?" This question made Ellie hesitate. After all, they were just contract lovers. After thinking it over, she could only remain silent and respond with a smile. This made the sisters who wanted to gossip anxious. "It's my first time seeing such a handsome person. But how can there be such rumors?" Milchin's words were rarely agreed upon by the others. Candel's appearance was indeed flawless, but the aura of decay emanating from his body instinctively terrified people. Handsome or not, he already has a lover. That's the main point, isn't it? Milchin directly ignored Osmond's words. "So, will you two get married?" "Sorry, I don't want to answer that question." Getting this response, she didn't pursue it further. Instead, she covered her mouth and giggled. "It's just as I thought." Everything seemed to be as she had expected. This scene was also fully observed by Ellie, but she didn't pay much attention to it. In the Empire's arena, two sharp swords clashed rapidly. "Gerard, have you been slacking off in your training lately?" Every sword strike from Candel was very difficult for him to handle. In the end, he even lost his grip on his sword. As Candel sheathed his sword, he spoke. "He's a merchant's son. He's been on the path of a believer since childhood. But his information is too perfect. It's like it was prepared in advance." Hearing this, Gerard immediately understood Candel's meaning. "My lord, what do you plan to do about the content of the recent meeting? Are you preparing to go to war?" It turned out that in the previous meeting, the ministers had proposed sending troops to suppress the fallen kingdom of Daeniu, and Candel naturally became their best candidate. But Candel's response this time was very straightforward. "I won't be going to war. If it were before, I would have stepped up without hesitation. But now, I have no intention of leaving Ellie behind. No matter how loud the opposition, they can't do anything to me." At this point, Candel inquired about the training status of the recently joined recruits. "Don't worry, Melissa is carefully educating them. However, two of them seem a bit." But before he could finish, he quickly left. It turned out Ellie was walking towards this place. Ellie also saw Candel's presence. Her previous worried expression instantly disappeared. "Candel, are you tired after exercising? Should I give you a bath? Or should we bathe together?" The stern lord who was just disciplining his subordinates blushed to his ears at these two sentences. However, he was already used to this kind of situation. But when he arrived at the bathroom, he was quite displeased. "You clearly said we'd bathe together earlier." This made Ellie reflect. This guy used to run away, even at the thought of holding hands. But Ellie naturally wasn't willing to be outdone. She then brought a basin full of water and poured it straight over Candel's head. Feeling refreshed? Suddenly energized, right? Faced with Ellie's schadenfreude, Candel told her to come over. But Ellie wasn't that foolish. No way. As a result, this guy stood up from the pool himself. When the sunlight shone into the room the next day, Candel had already left early for work at the Imperial Palace. At this time, the butler told Ellie that there was still no news from the priest today. It seems Dao Xia has been very busy lately. When the butler asked about today's schedule, Ellie remembered the last item on her hospital list. With an indifferent expression, she softly said, "I plan to look around indoors first. It's time for me to prepare to leave." The girl she secretly loved was with someone else. She went crazy wanting to get rid of the other person. Little did she know that the other person was actually a girl. It turned out that just now, only the last item remained on Ellie's wish list. In the little time she had left, she wanted to make preparations to leave. For her final journey, she planned to purchase some daily necessities. Little did she know, her simple shopping trip had someone carrying the burden for her behind the scenes, in corners where Ellie couldn't see. Gerard would always appear in strange ways. Just as Ellie was preparing to go home, she unexpectedly spotted Elgar in the crowd. Seeing her good friend Ellie, she was about to go up and greet her. But then she heard some rumors about him. The content was so unbearable that even the usually good-tempered Ellie was furious. She pitifully called out to those two people, telling them she had something to say to them. But it had to be in a small alley. Just as the two were wondering why they needed to go to an alley, Ellie had already started hurling pots and pans at them with her magic. After dealing with the two, Ellie finally breathed a sigh of relief. Little did she know, Elgar had witnessed the whole process from behind. "You really are a kind-hearted little cutie. I just didn't expect you to be such an excellent magician as well." This made Elgar feel an urge to recruit her under his command. Of course, with Elgar's beauty, if Ellie wasn't short on time, she might have really agreed. Their intimate gestures were all captured by Dao Xia not far away. "Bishop, look, shut up." The killing intent in Dao Xia's eyes was clearly visible. The desire to eliminate the man beside Ellie grew stronger. But in the end, what was he to Ellie anyway? His relationship with Ellie was at most just friends. However, he soon realized how ridiculous his contradictory self was. Palu, the great god, was a competitor for the next pope position with Dao Xia. Although Palu was stronger in both authority and connections, Dao Xia's personal strength far exceeded Palu's. This forced Palu to seek alternative methods. "You've been going out frequently lately. It's like you have a lover." The usually composed Dao Xia panicked completely upon hearing this. He knew Palu's methods best if he discovered his precious Ellie, but the panicked emotions were quickly hidden. Dao Xia put on an indifferent expression again. Unfortunately, Palu keenly caught all of this. In the end, Dao Xia had to resort to threats. But the more he did so, the more it proved Palu's victory in this confrontation. "You and your mother are really alike." This sentence completely broke through Dao Xia's defenses. Fortunately, there was an assistant nearby to intervene. This prevented them from coming to blows. "I heard there's a letter from the Duke's mansion. It says your friend is looking for you." Ellie is actually looking for me? But after a brief moment of excitement, he remembered what Palu had just said. To prevent Ellie from getting hurt, he had to temporarily suppress his complex inner feelings. However, when Xia saw Ellie again the next day, his face blushed uncontrollably. Although he had treated Ellie many times, holding hands still made his heart race every time. Just as Xia was immersed in happiness, Xia appeared with a friendly face. He watched Dao Xia vigilantly the whole time, almost writing "Behave yourself, boy" on his face. Meanwhile, Ellie was very happy after receiving a letter from Elgar. Little did she know, she had inadvertently upset Dao Xia again. Seeing Ellie happy for someone else, Dao Xia's possessiveness suddenly rose again. He reached out to trace Ellie's hair. "Ellie, I hope that at least in front of me, you can focus only on me." Ellie nodded somewhat uncertainly. Dao Xia quickly realized the situation and hurriedly apologized for his behavior. However, Ellie didn't take it to heart. Under Dao Xia's guidance, Ellie's magic improved significantly. At this moment, Dao Xia glanced out the window. He saw Gerard hiding in the mansion. Although the other's invisibility magic was very advanced, it still couldn't escape Dao Xia's eyes. But since he posed no harm to Ellie, she couldn't be bothered to interfere. Meanwhile, deep in the palace, Candel, who was preparing to go home, was suddenly called. "Lord Candel, we meet again." Hearing the other person call him by name, Candel was very displeased, because only Ellie had the right to do so. But thinking it was Ellie's friend, he couldn't be bothered to care. At this time, Shalia looked expectant. "Do you remember my name?" This stumped Candel, who only remembered Ellie. But Shalia had anticipated this. You can just call me Shalia." The smile on her face only made Candell feel nauseous. But thinking that Ellie having more friends might mean seeing that priest less, he endured and didn't react. However, thinking about seeing Ellie soon, Candell's lips involuntarily curved upwards. Seeing this, Shalia thought Candell was captivated by her charm, but she thought it was natural. A perfect nobleman like him, everyone should be grateful to her, just like Ellie. In her view, Candell was never something that belonged to Ellie, so Shalia became bolder. She suggested having dinner alone with Candell next time. Candell hadn't understood the implication yet, but said it would be fine if Ellie agreed. This response surprised Shalia a bit. Normally, people would eagerly agree with excitement. Little did she know, Candell not only dismissed her words as nonsense, but his mind was now filled with thoughts of going back to kiss Ellie 100 times. However, Shalia seemed determined to win Candell over. After all, how long could a commoner talk with the Duke? Recalling Candell's smile towards her earlier, Shalia felt confident of victory. It seemed she needed to be careful before Candell broke up. Don't let her fall in love with herself. But it might be too late already. The little green tea wanted to seduce the male lead, but ended up shamelessly asking his lover to help set them up. Unexpectedly, Ellie didn't indulge her anymore, saying, "Are we that close?" The little green tea momentarily forgot to manage her expression. Ellie, who had learned invisibility magic from Dao Xia, moved around the mansion freely. It was like opening the door to a new world. But she didn't expect to find a stranger behind that door. "Who are you? Why are you in my bedroom?" The man nervously explained that his name was Gavin, and he was new to Candell's service, so he wasn't familiar with the place. "You got lost, but what does that have to do with you being invisible?" He explained that he was completing a task assigned by the Duke. Ellie didn't expose this flimsy excuse on the spot. After he hurriedly fled, Ellie's smiling expression froze in an instant. She told the butler, who was scolding the servants, "It seems we have a thief in our house." Not long after, Candell burst through the door in panic. He hugged Ellie tightly, his whole body trembling. His tone was full of self-reproach and regret. After all, he personally screened all new recruits. Perhaps he had become too complacent, causing him to overlook the dangers around him. If Ellie were hurt because of him, thinking of this, Candell hugged her even tighter. He began frantically apologizing for his mistake. At this moment, Candell was like a child who had done wrong, begging for Ellie's forgiveness. Although Ellie was gently comforting Candell, it seemed her former self, who had never felt warmth before, found more solace in this. But gentleness was reserved for Ellie. For his negligent subordinates, it was a different matter. After Ellie kissed Candell, he swiftly slipped out of her embrace. "I have things to do tomorrow. I'm going to bed." And as soon as Ellie left, the poor subordinates lost their last amulet of protection. Candell's eyes gleamed coldly. "You were in charge of training the new recruits, weren't you?" Faced with Candell's oppression, even breathing became a luxury for them. If she had been hurt, even a little, what kind of punishment do you think you'd receive? Gerard was fortunate that Ellie was unharmed this time. But Candell also issued an ultimatum. They had to find a runaway within a week. From that day on, the mansion entered the highest level of security. Candell became even more clingy, sticking to Ellie like glue. Finally, Ellie had a chance to get out, but she was immediately met with Shalia's exquisite performance. Surprised? "Just help me arrange a dinner with Candell. Aren't we good friends?" Bystanders couldn't bear to watch anymore. Even Elgar, who usually minded his own business, advised her not to go too far. After all, Candell and Ellie were lovers, as everyone could see. But clearly, Shalia wasn't giving up. Instead, she put on an accusing face towards Ellie. "Having a meal with a friend, is that too much?" "It's not too much." Hearing this, Shalia thought Ellie was going to agree. But Ellie suddenly changed her tone. "But I don't want to do that. After all, we're not that close." This sentence instantly wiped the smile off Shalia's face. She was on the verge of cursing out loud. "What are you saying?" Ellie hurriedly explained. "Just kidding. Actually, it's because of Candell. He's very shy and doesn't like to interact with strangers." But Shalia didn't believe it. In her view, a mere commoner dared to refuse her goodwill. If it weren't for the presence of others, she would surely make this lowly person face reality. To her, Ellie was nothing but a lowly person relying on Candell, only tarnishing the perfect Candell. The more Shalia thought, the angrier she became. But to maintain her ladylike image, she could only turn to Elgar for help, who knew he would completely ignore her. With all this commotion, Ellie also lost interest in observing. Seeing Ellie leave, Elgar quickly got up to follow, but in Shalia's eyes. This scene became Elgar going to scold Ellie on her behalf. The others present also had a look of concern for the intellectually challenged. In fact, Ellie had long known Shalia's little thoughts were just like her own family's. She had been accommodating Shalia all along, but she didn't understand why the other was so greedy. Even her remaining candle, she wanted to possess. At this moment, Ellie was suddenly called out to. She saw Elgar catching up, out of breath. I'm sorry, Shalia was so unreasonable, and I couldn't stop her. You're hurt. I apologize to you. Ellie was confused. What did this have to do with her? It turned out that Elgar had introduced Shalia to the social circle. Initially, she saw Shalia being isolated, so she felt sorry for her and brought her along. Who knew it would turn out like this today? But Elgar promised it wouldn't happen again. To be valued so much by a friend, Ellie rarely felt such a different kind of warmth. But Ellie didn't know that their every move now was being observed by Daosha not far away. If Ellie could be with Candel and also associate with this guy at the same time, wouldn't that mean she had hope too? Daosha's reason told her she was crazy, but the turmoil in her heart kept drowning out her sanity. She now only wanted to possess Ellie for herself, to the extent that she couldn't tolerate anyone approaching Ellie. Just then, Elgar passed by her. Daosha's eyes suddenly became clear, learning that her love rival was actually the Empire's princess. Daosha could no longer hide her joy. This time, she didn't resist. She frankly admitted she was already hopelessly in love with Ellie. Just moments ago, she had a face like a bitter wife, seeing Ellie laughing and talking with others. She had dug 5 holes in the tree bark with her bare hands, until Elgar walked past her. Daosha's eyes instantly became clear. This was when Ellie looked in Daosha's direction. How did you come so early? Daosha, now visible, had a smile reaching to the sky. How did you know I was invisible? Able to see through her teacher's invisibility, Ellie was full of pride. She chattered away to Daosha, but the other didn't hear a word. Knowing only that her love rival was a princess, Daosha was elated again. A clear heartbeat pulled her out of her thoughts. Then she turned her head, seriously listening to every word Ellie was saying to her. Just an inadvertent smile from Ellie could easily make her fall instantly, until finally she understood, no matter how much she struggled, she would always end up by Ellie's side. And it was the same for Candel. Through Ellie's unremitting efforts, she only had one last evolution left. That curse that had tormented her all her life was about to come to an end in a daze. She had never imagined there would be such a day, nor had she ever imagined meeting someone as perfect as Ellie, until Ellie finished the treatment and woke her up. The gratitude in her heart intertwined with Ellie's, finally turning into adoration towards Ellie. Ellie also closed her eyes to savor the fruits of her victory. The next morning, Candel was massaging Ellie's sore body. At this moment, he looked guilty and couldn't look Ellie in the eye. But Ellie was already used to this. After all, it wasn't his fault. When Ellie suggested going on a trip together, Candel's eyes were surprised. This thing he never dared to imagine in his life was now within reach. They finally set the time before summer arrived. But people's joys and sorrows cannot be shared. The deadline Candel set was getting closer, yet Gerard still had no clues. Fortunately, there was light at the end of the tunnel. Melissa finally found some leads. Can't take it anymore. Melissa, give me a kiss. Get lost. These transaction documents with the Danube Kingdom soon appeared before Candel. Candel immediately guessed who did it. These framing documents appearing here should also appear at the next meeting. If they want to clear Candel's suspicion, the only way is to participate in the war against the Danube Kingdom. Knowing that war was inevitable, Candel comforted himself. If he could adjust the timing well, perhaps he could still go on a trip with Ellie. After all, Ellie would wait for him, just like usual. Learning that the girl he secretly loved was only in a contract relationship with someone else, he wasn't happy at all, because Daosha knew very well, having saved Candel, it was impossible to easily escape from the other's grasp. But even so, Daosha's heart still rejoiced at this news. Knowing she had no chance of winning, she simply sealed away these feelings, waiting until she was alone to reveal them. Meanwhile, on the other side, Liang, cursed by Daosha's midsummer curse, was screaming in agony. Hearing all this, Blanche's eyes turned cold, attributing all the faults to Ellie. And Delvin, who escaped from the Duke's mansion, was waiting for Blanche's orders. Now that Blanche's relationship with Candel was broken, Blanche couldn't let Candel take away his strongest trump card. Delvin, if you can't snatch Ellie back, killing her is fine too. He wouldn't allow the dog he raised to have a chance to bite his neck. As for Candel, due to Blanche's scheme, He now had to return to the battlefield. Learning all this, Ellie trembled with anger. She felt it was unfair for Candel. Or perhaps she worried Candel couldn't accompany her on her final journey before death. Unaware of all this, Candel's smile reached his ears when he heard Ellie's concern for him. He gently caressed Ellie's cheek, telling her it was just a small battle. Compared to the wars from her childhood, it was like child's play. Originally, he planned to die on the battlefield. Now he had a reason to live on. Ellie finally realized that Candel wasn't satisfied with just a contract relationship, but it seemed too late. Ellie, wherever you are is my home. Faced with a little green tea's scrutiny, Candel finally couldn't take it anymore. It turned out that just now, Shalia, under Elgar's pressure, reluctantly apologized to Ellie. A perfunctory apology naturally only received a perfunctory response. Seeing Ellie's indifferent attitude, Shalia trembled with anger. Just as she was thinking of how to retaliate, she heard a servant telling Ellie that Duke Candel had arrived. As Ellie was about to go and greet him, Shalia unexpectedly stood up first. "Looks like he's here for me." Leaving these words behind, Shalia disappeared in a flash, leaving everyone else in confusion. On Candel's side, indifferent to everything else, he was full of anticipation for the approaching footsteps. Shalia was seen running excitedly, holding up her skirt and calling out repeatedly. Candel's joy instantly turned into confusion. Before he could speak, Shalia looked up with an intimate expression. "Duke, I've missed you so much." Candel's speechless expression was misinterpreted by Shalia as being captivated by her beauty. So she confidently asked him, "Have you been thinking of me too? I was going to ask Ellie to arrange a meeting with you, but she refused earlier." As she said this, her hand wrapped around Candel's shoulder. "I can understand why Ellie did that. After all, she's a commoner and can't continue with you. Perhaps she's just jealous. Although I wouldn't dare to have thoughts about a friend's lover. But if they break up, that's another story." However, Shalia didn't expect that the next second, Candel would slap her hand away. The slight confusion on his face earlier had turned into coldness. "I don't even know where to start correcting you." Candel approached step by step. "You dare to treat the Empire's only court lady as a commoner. You seem to have misunderstood who the lowly one really is. Moreover, even if she were a commoner, I have no intention of breaking up. If you continue to talk nonsense, I'll have your tongue cut out. Also, I believe I've told you before, don't call me by my name." Candel's aura was no longer restrained. Shalia, trembling with fear, had forgotten to beg for mercy. At this moment, she finally understood why everyone called him the Monster Duke, and Candel didn't seem to give her a chance to beg for mercy. She finally realized that the so-called contract relationship was just her own wishful thinking. When Ellie heard that Candel never intended to break up and wanted to be together forever, Ellie realized that reality had played a big joke on her. She thought they would just enjoy 3 months together, then part ways without any lingering feelings, a clean break. Now it all seemed like a fantasy. She also finally realized that she had been toying with Candel, to the extent that in the little time left, she didn't know how to face him or in what capacity. Unsure of what to do, Ellie had no choice but to confide in Dao Xia. She told Dao Xia everything. In her view, she and Candel only liked each other moderately. She hoped to end it cleanly before they became too attached. What if Candel doesn't agree? Hearing Ellie's decisive answer, Dao Xia quickly covered Nanya's mouth with his hand. While expressing concern verbally, he had already claimed Ellie as his own. Returning from Dao Xia's place, Ellie felt dizzy. As she had gone to the temple invisibly, Linley had consumed more energy than Ellie had imagined. So much so that she didn't even notice someone behind her. After the person politely greeted her, they brought out a handkerchief laced with a sedative. A sudden gust of wind swirled around Ellie. A magic circle appeared behind her, forcefully repelling the attacker. "You think you can take me? Get lost." However, Ellie's intimidation had no effect. Instead, it seemed to excite the guy even more. Ellie sensed the danger. Not only had she consumed too much spiritual energy, but even at her best, she probably wouldn't stand a chance. "I don't want to hurt the court lady. Please come with me obediently." At this moment, Ellie deeply regretted. Recalling what Dao Xia had said, if you're not prepared to kill, you might end up being the one who dies. This time, she released all her spiritual energy, but the opponent seemed to be even more skilled. He skillfully dodged all of Ellie's moves. and his expression became more deranged with each technique Ellie used. The magic circle behind Ellie suddenly lit up. The next second, a deep pit appeared in front of the street. Countless vines sprang up from the ground, tightly binding the opponent's hands and feet. But this move seemed to excite the guy even more. The man, though bound, was particularly excited. "I didn't expect you to use elemental magic, but you're not skilled enough." Before he finished speaking, he cut through the vines with one sword strike. Seeing this, Ellie knew she was no match for Gavin. Now she could only hope someone would come to save her. But the usually busy street was empty today. The alley she passed seemed deliberately cleared out, but the situation was urgent. Ellie couldn't care about that now. Gavin, having broken free from the vines, was thrilled again. "I like strong women." Searching for his prey, Gavin called out Ellie's name. "Court lady, where are you? How could I possibly hurt you? On one hand, you're the heir of Blanche. On the other hand, I think I've fallen for you." At this moment, Ellie could only pray not to be found. Fortunately, Gavin's voice gradually faded. Just as she thought she had escaped, "Court lady, I've found you." When Ellie woke up again, she was already wearing handcuffs that suppressed her magic. She didn't understand what she had done wrong. She only wanted to live freely one last time before dying. Why wouldn't fate leave her alone? The cage door opened. Ellie sat up alertly. "Court lady, are you feeling unwell anywhere?" Ellie questioned if it was Duke Blanche's order. Although Gavin didn't respond directly, from his expression, Ellie already knew the truth. "Then why didn't you take me to Duke Blanche's mansion?" Of course, Ellie didn't know that Gavin's orders were to kill Ellie if necessary. He gazed at Ellie greedily. "Be with me. Don't you want to see how powerful our children could be?" Before he could finish, Ellie gave him a heavy blow to the forehead. Then she picked up the keys from the ground. After some fumbling, Ellie finally managed to open the cell door. However, before she could rejoice for long, hands grabbed her from behind. They roughly pulled at Ellie's hair, forcefully throwing her back into the cell. "Court lady, you know, because you always try to escape, I have no choice." Then Gavin's sword pierced through Ellie's leg. This time, Ellie had no strength left to resist. Apart from the excruciating pain, there was only longing for Candel. Candel, in the Imperial City, seemed to sense something as well. In his daze, his subordinates had already urgently reported Ellie's disappearance. Hearing this news, Candel's heart felt like it had skipped a beat. He quickly suspected Blanche, who had a previous record, but seeing Blanche loudly questioning him about Ellie's whereabouts, and his subordinates not finding Ellie, Candel temporarily believed this matter was unrelated to him. However, Candel didn't know that after he left, Blanche's back was already soaked with sweat. Unable to find Candel, Ellie, recalling Ellie's recent cold attitude towards him, had to consider if she disappeared because she disliked him. If that were the case, nothing would change in the end. He thought Ellie also knew clearly that even if she ran to the ends of the earth, he would eventually find her. Fortunately, at this time, subordinates reported finding traces in the Old Town district. Meanwhile, on the other side, Gavin gave Ellie two choices: lose her other leg or live happily with him. Ellie didn't make a choice. She only hoped to return alive. At the end of her life, to complete the final wish list with Candel. As if hearing her response, painful wails came from the cell door. Gavin knew Candel would come, but he didn't understand why it was so quick. Ellie's contemptuous expression gave him the answer. "No wonder you've been releasing magic all along the way. You betrayed me. Didn't we agree to live happily together?" At this moment, Candel, adorned with the blood of dungeon guards, looked like a fierce jade demon. When he saw the dying Ellie, his anger completely transformed into a shadowy look in his eyes, knowing he was already a dead man. So, when he saw Candel about to sacrifice his arm to save him, he resolutely chose to end his life. Perhaps this wasn't the right choice, but Ellie couldn't allow the once lofty Candel to now repeatedly compromise because of her. Seeing Gavin use him as leverage against Candel, Ellie deeply regretted at this moment. The once invincible war machine was now kneeling on the ground, begging not to harm her. He kept repeating, "Don't do this," over and over. The tragic scene piqued Gavin's interest again. "Can I remove one of your arms? After all, if you swing your sword, it would be terrifying. You might even hurt the court lady." Ellie didn't understand. Why wasn't Candel taking action? Wasn't he more than capable of dealing with these people? Was he going to sacrifice an arm just because she was injured? As Ellie had guessed, the sword on Candel's shoulder was decisive, and his eyes showed no hesitation. Ellie was completely panicked panicked, desperately begging him to go back. This was all her fault. It was because she had terminal illness. It was because she never received love from her family. Or perhaps she let Candel misunderstand their contract relationship. If it weren't for her selfishness, things wouldn't have come to this. Thinking of this, Ellie quietly grasped Gavin's dagger. Why was she so angry? Was it because Candel easily gave up his life to save her? Or because she told him to go back, but he didn't listen? Just before the dagger entered her chest, she seemed to find the answer. Because she shouldn't have let Candel fall in love with her. Amidst everyone's shocked expressions, Ellie plunged the dagger into her chest. In the end, she chose this way to say goodbye to Candel. After all, she already had a terminal illness. Candel probably wouldn't be angry, right? It was a pity. After warning herself countless times not to fall in love with Candel, she realized she was already deeply in love. The unrealistic dreams she had before. It was time to wake up from them now. But this outcome was hard for Candel to accept. This was the salvation he had finally found. Now she lay lifeless in his arms. Was it because he was a monster, yet dared to hope for something he shouldn't have? But it was too late to go back to before he met Ellie. What should I do, my Ellie? My savior. Watching the woman he loved die before him, the once invincible demon Duke was shattered. He who had once healed her corrupted life, now watched helplessly as Ellie's heartbeat faded away. Candel was now like a lost dog, only able to vent all his fury on those who hurt Ellie. An aura of death surrounded him. No one was spared wherever he went. However, even if he killed everyone, it couldn't ease the pain in his heart one bit, because no matter what he did, he had lost Ellie. He cried out Ellie's name, trying in vain to wake her up. Suddenly, Ellie's bracelet emitted a brilliant light. This gave the desperate Candel a glimmer of hope. Now, as long as Ellie could live, he would willingly die for her. Candel, kneeling and begging the gods, received a response. Dausha's figure appeared in the midst of the light. Please save her. Candel no longer had his usual dignity when facing Dausha. He was as humble as a dog begging for mercy. I don't care about your true identity, nor do I mind how you look at Ellie. Just please save her. I'll do anything. Dausha knelt on one knee, looking at Candel. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not doing this for you, Duke, but for myself. Dausha didn't hope to keep Ellie by her side. But if Ellie would suffer pain no matter who she was with, then why couldn't that person be herself? After the treatment, Dausha had only one request. Don't reveal her identity to Ellie. The next morning, Ellie slowly opened her eyes. She couldn't understand why she was still alive, but then laughed at herself, thinking it was just delaying death by a few days. Suddenly, a chair fell over. Candel anxiously leaned over the bed, afraid of losing his loved one again. He bent down and questioned Ellie. Why? Why did you do that? I thought I was going to lose you. Ellie, in turn, was concerned if Candel was hurt. He was the one who had escaped death, yet he was worried about her. Candel choked up and turned his head away. I'm fine. Thanks to Dausha, you survived. Just thinking about that moment terrifies me now. If you had really left, I would have followed you. These words made Ellie's feelings complicated. After all, she was a dying person. She couldn't let Candel risk himself for her. So she absolutely couldn't die in front of Candel. This would also be her last lie. The news of Duke Blanche's attempt to assassinate his own daughter spread throughout the capital. The once powerful Duke's mansion fell overnight. Everyone finally realized that even a Duke would be finished if he offended Candel. Candel's methods were already ruthless enough, but compared to Dausha, they were still a step behind. Though wearing a gentle smile that drove women crazy, in Ron's eyes, it became the scythe of death. Didn't I tell you before? If you dare to harm Ellie again, that will be your death day. Such an ungrateful bug. On the surface, he was a revered priest, but behind the scenes, he was a ruthless madman. Because Ellie was kidnapped by Blanche until late at night, he came to vent all his anger on Ron. And these power-holding bugs, they just stick out their necks and act high and mighty. I said if you dare to harm Ellie again, it would be your death day. You should have about a week left, right? By then, your body will explode. Imagine how interesting it would be to burst open in front of your mother. As for Ellie, she was preparing for Candel's final evolution. There's not much time left before the expedition. It's better to finish evolving before leaving. What Candel found hard to accept was Ellie was distancing herself from him again. When the light faded, Ellie forced a smile. Now there's no more curse. Candel is no longer a frightening monster, but thinking about separating from Ellie due to the expedition. He couldn't be happy even though the curse was lifted. The next day, Ellie researched and found that Ashta's burial customs were perfect for her. Buried in the desert, no one would ever find her. At this moment, Daosha suddenly visited. I heard you cured me. Thank you. Unexpectedly, Daosha, like Candel, questioned why she did this. Why don't you cherish your own life? Do you know how it felt watching you dying? I was so. The rest of Daosha's words were left unsaid. So, what are you going to do next? Daosha glanced around, noticing the travel guide on the table. She thought Ellie was going on a honeymoon with Candel. Was she going to be abandoned again? The plan remains unchanged. I'll leave in a few days. Hearing this, Daosha's gloom instantly cleared. Really, Ellie? Then come with me. Together with me. She fulfilled all her last wishes. Ellie finally left Candel. Upon learning this, Daosha begged to be taken along when leaving. Where could a priest go anyway? The temple is dirtier than I imagined. I planned to resign immediately, but Ellie still refused her. I'm glad. You're my first friend. Goodbye, Daosha. Facing Ellie's farewell, she wasn't sad, because she had already cured Ellie. After saying goodbye to Daosha, only her good friends were left. But Ellie noticed Shalia didn't come. A few days ago, they had grown distant due to some issues. A few days ago, Shalia and Elgar had an argument. They thought the two would never speak to each other again. Unexpectedly, just a day later, Shalia, having no friends, shamelessly begged for reconciliation. It was too embarrassing, so Charbel didn't plan to tell Ellie. I'm sorry, it's all my fault, because I wasn't decisive enough. As for Shalia, Ellie didn't take it to heart. I came today to tell everyone that Candel is going on an expedition, and she herself will be traveling during this time. Her good friends reminded her to bring travel essentials. Feeling their kindness, Ellie smiled. Why did she only meet such friends before dying? At night, Ellie gazed at the sleeping Candel. She hadn't expected things to turn out this way. If she had known she would fall in love with him, she wouldn't have started. Ellie gently caressed Candel's cheek, trying to engrave his image firmly in her heart. The next day, Candel, clad in armor, called out her name. Ellie quickly hid the sadness in her eyes. You look handsome dressed like this too. The luggage is all packed, just waiting to depart. You must return safely. Candel spoke gently, telling her not to worry. He wouldn't be gone too long. A final kiss before departure. The two parted reluctantly. They carried two extreme emotions. One was the pain of never seeing their loved one again. The other was the happiness of looking forward to their beloved. Watching Candel's figure fade into the distance, Ellie let go of all her attachments. This 3-month love contract also came to an end. Leaving behind a farewell letter, Ellie left the Duke's mansion without looking back. She hoped that when Candel learned of her disappearance, he would be able to find his own happiness. After all, for Candel, she was just a passing traveler in his life, someone he could do with or without. She believed it wouldn't take long for him to forget her. Ellie finally learned that she wouldn't die. A week after leaving Candel, Ellie's figure appeared in Yulton near the capital. The newspaper reported Candel's overwhelming victory, noting that the Blanche family was in shambles. Ellie hurriedly packed her luggage. She wanted to confirm if Candel was healthy, even if just from afar. But now there was a more important issue. The 3-month deadline had passed, yet her body was completely fine. To avoid attention, she dyed her hair yellow. Arriving at the original clinic, she heard this unbelievable truth. Not only would she not die, but she would live longer than anyone. Ellie, tricked by the misdiagnosis, was about to lash out when she learned that she had actually been cured. Only Pope-level holy power could have achieved this. Ellie seemed to realize something. She left without looking back. The streets were crowded. Ellie wandered aimlessly among them. She came to her former home, only to find everything had changed. The family heir was dead. The Duke had been executed. People around discussed Candel's terror, tearfully talking about his miserable situation. She knew appearing now would only cause more conflict. Meanwhile, at the Empire's edge, blood stained Candel's black armor. This war was finally nearing its end under his leadership. So, Ellie, please wait for me a little longer. Looking at the familiar mansion, Ellie could no longer suppress her emotions. She couldn't imagine the pain her departure caused Candel, but she would sincerely apologize, tell Candel they truly had a future. However, she saw a group of people around the mansion. They were lying in wait for her. Their goal was to hold Candel's weakness. Learning she had become a bargaining chip for their negotiations with Candel, Ellie's earlier fantasies instantly shattered. She had ruined everything, but she still owed Candel an apology. At night, to avoid capture, Ellie disguised herself. Unfortunately, she was still followed. Although she could use magic to solve the problem, there were too many people here. It would draw attention. Just as Ellie was about to be exposed, Dao Xia hugged her from behind. "What are you doing to my wife? The person you're looking for is an unmarried woman with pink hair. She doesn't match any of those criteria. Please stop this." However, even when faced with Dao Xia, the other party didn't want to give up. "Why can't you understand human speech?" Dao Xia pressed Ellie's head firmly against her chest. Holy magic swirled around her hand. The next second, the person in front lost all signs of life. "Run, Ellie. I've knocked him out." Ellie wanted to look back, but Dao Xia urged, "Keep running, don't stop, until they can't find you anymore." After slaying the last enemy, Candel's brief but grueling campaign ended. He, who had become a husband, was gifted with emotions by Ellie. The dull and boring killing now had something to look forward to. "Ellie, I can't help but love you. I will keep you by my side forever and ever." The demon duke, whom no one dared approach, now blushed shyly at a compliment. "You used to always exude an aura of death, hard to get along with. Now you're unexpectedly kind." Seeing Candel's silence, the soldier quickly apologized for his impudence, but he received sincere thanks instead. Being able to interact normally with people had always been Candel's wish. He didn't even dare to hope for it before. Now he could finally be like a normal person. All of this was thanks to Ellie. He wondered if Ellie would be smiling and waiting for him when he returned. She must be very worried about him, then excitedly tell him what happened during the time he was away. After just a few days apart, Candel deeply felt that he couldn't live without Ellie. But he didn't know that at this moment, the Duke's mansion was in chaos. The butler ordered his subordinates to search the entire city, but there was still no news of Ellie. She herself had already appeared at the train station, out of breath. Accompanying her was Dao Xia. To avoid Candel's enemies, leaving the capital was also a good choice. But Ellie was curious. As a priest, wouldn't Dao Xia be affected by leaving the temple? "I was tired of the temple's behavior, so I resigned. Also, don't misunderstand. I'm just traveling in the same direction as you." However, Ellie told her that this wasn't a trip. Ellie, being pursued, was in constant danger. "In that situation, I might not be able to protect you." Dao Xia nonchalantly told her not to worry. Seeing this, Ellie stopped trying to persuade her. But they soon encountered an awkward problem. The station only had one room left. Were the two of them going to sleep in the same bed? When Dao Xia saw Ellie leaving alone, she could no longer suppress her feelings. In contrast, Candel, upon learning everything, went completely mad. On the train, Dao Xia sat across from Ellie. Looking at the woman in front of her, her mind wandered. After all, the contract relationship had ended. Did she now have a chance? "What are you writing? Are you making travel plans?" Ellie put away her will and asked about Dao Xia's destination. "Vidya, we can part ways in Busan. So, where are you going?" Ellie had originally planned to go to Ashta, but now she urgently needed to avoid her enemy's eyes. "I might go to Busan. You don't seem to have brought much money. I think I can provide you with some funds. It's the least I can do for you now." Again, just a little care, and her damn heart was racing uncontrollably. She wanted nothing more than to kiss Ellie right then and never give her back to Candel. "Dao Xia, can you tell me about the news from the capital?" Blanche was executed for premeditated murder. The heir seems to have died too. As soon as Candel left for battle, Marquis Sedge started looking for you. The train traveled from dawn into the night. The train in Busan was brightly lit. Now only one room was left. Dao Xia, who had been carsick the whole way, desperately needed rest. "Ellie, I feel sick." So the two of them entered the same room. "In that case, let's sleep together on the bed." "No need. I've already bought a sleeping bag." "Dem sleeping bag. Do you want to be burned by holy power?" "Ellie might catch a cold sleeping outside." "Don't worry, Dao Xia. It's no problem at all. I really should burn it." At this moment, Dao Xia seemed to have lost all her tactics. She collapsed softly on the bed. When everything was quiet, Ellie tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Would she still smile at her if she saw the letter she left behind? Ellie no longer had the courage to face everything. Just then, Dao Xia on the bed suddenly moaned in pain. "Don't go, don't leave me. Didn't you say you loved me?" "You said so. Although she didn't know what happened, Ellie still carefully comforted her by her side, until she herself fell asleep in the early hours. Dao Xia, who woke up, gently placed her on the bed, repeating "Don't leave me" over and over. Meanwhile, at the Duke's mansion, all the servants stood still. "What are you saying? Ellie is missing." Holding the gift prepared for his beloved, he instead received news of Ellie's disappearance. "This joke isn't funny at all." Candel shouted Ellie's name, searching for her throughout the mansion. "Stop playing around and come out. If you don't come out, I'll really get angry." His gradually panicked tone turned into pleading. "Ellie, please come out. Didn't you say you loved me? Why did you leave without a word?" Candel couldn't understand at all, so he turned to question the butler. "So what exactly did you do? Didn't you try to stop her when she left? By the time we found out, she had already hidden, and she had dyed her hair. Then why didn't you tell me? You could have written to tell me Ellie was missing." The butler had anticipated Candel would lose control. He didn't want this to affect decisions on the battlefield, whether abandoning everything to run back or losing his life due to inability to concentrate. Would be better than not finding Ellie now. It would be better to die without knowing anything. Seeing Candel's state, the butler felt very guilty. But no one here understood the reason for Ellie's departure. Did I really make her hate me? If you were going to leave, why give emotions to a monster like me? You could have escaped before falling in love. Why disappear after getting involved with me? But Candel quickly calmed down. Perhaps there was another reason for Ellie's sudden departure. He immediately gathered all available personnel. Meanwhile, the carefree Ellie slept until dawn. She found herself moved from the sleeping bag to the bed. Just then, Dao Xia came out after washing up. "Since you're awake, let's go eat. Because I have no money, I can only freeload." "That's fine, but I have something to do. Can you wait for me? What if I get lost? You're the only person I can rely on now. Then let's go together." "Okay." At the post office, Ellie told her to wait obediently. "Okay, wife. Who's your wife?" Then Ellie put the written letter in an envelope. She specifically instructed to mail it to Candel. As Ellie turned around, Dao Xia approached. "Excuse me, miss, let me cancel the mailing." But since she wasn't the sender, the employee didn't easily agree. "Wife, let's go. I told you not to call me that. Are you two married? Then I'll help you cancel it." And so, Dao Xia got hold of Ellie's letter, and he felt there was nothing wrong with doing this. The letter explained the reason for Ellie's departure. It described Marquis Sieg's attempt to capture her and expressed her true feelings. "I'm sorry, Candel. I really miss you very much." Seeing this, she irritatedly threw it into the trash can. She didn't want Ellie to be taken away by someone else. If possible, she would also be willing to give everything. Candel finally woke up from his sorrow. He absolutely wouldn't allow Ellie to fall into someone else's hands. Meanwhile, Dao Xia wasn't idle and suddenly hugged Ellie beside her. "Wearing the same clothes for several days is uncomfortable. Then let's go buy clothes. Will you help me choose?" Soon, a walking clothes rack appeared in the clothing store. Every piece of clothing that went on her body seemed to be imbued with divinity, sacred and inviolable. Dao Xia's attention was entirely on her face. Buy them all. I also need a bag." As long as Dao Xia wanted it, there was nothing that couldn't be bought. After shopping for bags, they went to look at daily necessities. Then they went to a restaurant to eat. Although everything seemed normal, Dao Xia always felt that Ellie was a bit strange. Seeing the intact cake, Dao Xia became more certain. The thought in her heart must be because of Candel. They hadn't been together for long. What was there to be so attached to? "Ellie, I want to go somewhere. Can you come with me?" The beautiful sunset made Ellie forget her momentary troubles. Although it was tiring to climb up, it's really beautiful. Candel would definitely like it too. Dao Xia still couldn't understand why she wasn't satisfied with herself. What was different between her and Candel? It was just that Ellie met her first. This made Dao Xia very irritated, because Ellie's feelings for her were always different. "Thank you. This is an unplanned trip for you. You're already busy, yet you still care about me. It seems my worries are written all over my face. Because there are many things I regret. Not being able to be honest. Not being good at handling relationships. All of these make me regret." Dao Xia seemed to see hope. She advised Ellie that it was okay to escape. "Let the past be the past." "Thank you, Dao Xia. But I seem to still be stuck in the past, so I can't escape." Meanwhile, Candel finally had a clue. The investigation revealed, after Ellie visited the clinic, she suddenly cut ties with Brandcrab. It was that doctor who insisted on confidentiality, refusing to disclose Ellie's information. Additionally, based on the items Ellie purchased, it was deduced that her destination was the desert, and to get there, she would inevitably pass through Pusan. At this point, the butler asked Candel to rest for a while, and the emperor had also sent a message summoning him. However, none of this could stop his desire to see Ellie. He simply put on his coat and gathered all his subordinates. In order to find Ellie quickly, he didn't want to waste another second.